So this kid Gilsu has been the designated punching bag at his school for 3 straight years. Not fights. A punching bag. His parents moved the whole family to a new city just to get him out, and his dad still can't look him in the eye. His mom's pep talk, if the new kids hit you too, you can just drop out. Except he walks in and the whole class swarms him like a celebrity. A guy named Doyle adopts him instantly, drags him to the snack bar, and roasts an upperclassman's enormous eyebrows to his face. Nobody swings. Nothing happens. Then Doyle goes, every new student has to see one place, and asks him super casually, do you do any martial arts? No? Yeah, you might want to prepare yourself. Bro opens a door and walks into an underground UFC. Full ring, ropes, a crowd of students screaming for blood, 2 classmates in there beating each other senseless on a Tuesday. And here's the rule this entire school runs on. YMG High has no bullies. None. 0 bullying anywhere on campus. What it has is violence, all of it completely legal, all of it inside this one ring. Which is why the eyebrow guy didn't swing earlier. He just smiled and said he'd handle it later. In the ring, everyone's equal, which sounds beautiful until you remember these are teenagers, and every grudge on campus has exactly one place to go. Oh, and the eyebrow guy? That's Chung Jang, student president. Built like a doorframe, he has been waiting all day, very patiently, for the freshman who made fun of his face. He runs Gilsu through it once and says he's not explaining twice. Bare hands, one-on-one, marshals call the end. Throw a punch anywhere outside that ring and you're done. Drop out or graduate and the door locks behind you forever. So the only way anybody here settles anything is in front of the whole school. And that's when an upperclassman spots Gilsu in the crowd. Remember the guy whose shirt he spilled grape juice all over that morning? The one who said don't worry about the cleaning bill, real chill about it? Yeah, he wasn't being nice. He was taking payment in a different currency. Come on up, he says. Fight me around instead of paying for the shirt. Doyle thinks this is incredible news. You've got a match already, he says. You can learn the rest of the rules in the ring. Meanwhile, Gilsu is trying to explain that he has genuinely never thrown a punch in his life. Nobody is listening to him. He's already on the canvas. The marshal is asking if he's ready, and the whole school is watching the new kid who spent 3 years being somebody's sandbag. Turns out Gilsu drew the worst possible first match. The guy across from him is In-hae Kang, a first year, and the crowd goes quiet in that way crowds do when someone's about to get hurt. In-hae's the younger brother of somebody everybody at this school just calls Kang, and nobody has to explain what that means. In-hae's actually being polite about it. He offers Gilsu the first move since it's his debut. Gilsu can't move, can't lift his hands. He's just standing there doing math on how badly this is about to go. So In-hae shrugs and says, fine, I'll come to you. One body shot. That's it. That's the whole fight. Gilsu doubles over and throws up all over the ring. The marshals stop the match, somebody yells for a towel, and the entire school loses its mind laughing. They name it on the spot. The Vomit Blast. By the next morning, he's a legend for the wrong reason. Kids who skipped are being told they'll regret missing it for the rest of their lives. Somebody calls him Vomit Boy in the hallway and says he's a big fan. So Gilsu goes to Chungjang and tells him he's done. He's not coming back to the arena. And Chung, who has been nothing but friendly to this point, goes very still. Because what Gilsu just said, in this school, means something specific. It means you're giving everyone permission to beat you up. Then he says it out loud, as student president, in front of everyone. Gilsu is no longer under the protection of the arena. And that's when Gilsu learns what the arena was actually for. In-hae finds him in class the next day. No ring, no marshals, no rules. He knees him in the stomach and informs him he's a slave now, and that he'll be reporting to In-hae's classroom every single break. Someone mentions Gilsu transferred here because he got bullied at his old school, and In-hae says that explains why it feels so nice. So Gilsu does the only thing he knows how to do. He drops out, tells the office he needs to study for a test, walks home thinking the nightmare is finally over, 1 week into his fresh start. Chung tracks him down before he goes, asks him straight out why he won't fight, and Gilsu tells him the truth. He's traumatized, he was destroyed at his last school, he's got nothing left. And Chung's answer is brutal. Nobody expects you to fight like a pro. You don't need fancy moves. If you can't punch, bite. If you're weak, fight with your guts. But you don't even try to protect yourself. You think there's a utopia waiting out there once you drop out? You'll be a loser for the rest of your life? Gilsu walks off thinking, what would he know? He's never been weak a day in his life. And then In-hae's crew shows up outside his apartment. They found his address. They read it out loud to him, Unit 1105, Building 604. They tell him dropping out doesn't end anything, that they'll be visiting, and that if he tries to fight back, they'll photograph him getting beaten and send it to everyone he knows. He thought it was over. It was never going to be over. So Gilsu walks back into the arena and says 4 words, I'll fight in the ring. Chung looks at the kid who threw up on his own shoes 2 days ago and just says, you're an interesting guy. His opponent is In-hae again, and In-hae is genuinely offended by the whole idea. Did you really think you could take me one-on-one? Where do losers even get ideas like this? This isn't some action comic. Nothing dramatic is going to happen here. And for about a minute, he's completely right. Inhei takes him apart. Somebody in the crowd asks if the other guy might actually be dead. Somebody else says they're pretty sure they heard something snap. Even Inhei starts wondering if he's gone too far. Then, Gilsu gets up. Inhei hits him with something that should have ended it, and the kid stands there and asks if Inhei really thinks flimsy kicks like that are going to kill him, compared to what he's already survived. The crowd flips instantly. Vomit Boy isn't that bad, somebody yells. His berserk mode is on. Inhei's smile is gone, because he let his guard down, and now this thing in front of him will not stay down. And Gilsu lands one, a real punch, right on the jaw, and the whole arena comes off its feet. He can't feel his own injuries anymore, which the crowd correctly identifies as adrenaline and not skill, because he has taken some genuinely nasty shots to get here. Then the school starts chanting his name, Gilsu, Gilsu, the same crowd that spent 2 days calling him Vomit Boy. He's standing in a ring listening to people he's never met scream for him. It doesn't save him. Inhei stops falling for the surprise, and the marshals call it. Winner by knockout, Inhei Kang. Gilsu lies there running the fight back in his head. If he hadn't rushed in, if he'd stayed composed, if he'd gone for the takedown from the start. He wakes up and Chung is still there, stayed behind for him. Because looking after students who get knocked out is the job, and because, as Chung puts it, he didn't build the arena to get people killed. He built it to protect them. Then Chung reminds him today was his last day. He dropped out, so tomorrow he isn't allowed in here anymore. Take care. And Gilsu says the thing he's been building to for 3 years, what do I have to do? I'm not dropping out. Teach me. I want to get stronger. Chung says training the weak happens to be the student president's job too. Then he punches him once, asks how that felt, asks if it felt like it might kill him, and says let's get started. By the time we're done, you'll be able to take that punch. So before the training even starts, we finally get to see why Gilsu asked for it. First year of middle school, 3 older boys with him backed into a hallway, and they are not shaking him down for lunch money. They put him on a weekly rate. He can't pay, so they knock him down and stomp him on the hallway floor, then double the price for next week just because they can. His own words for what he turned into after that, the weakling who couldn't even protect himself. And he doesn't want to be that anymore, which is why he asked. Chung tells him that training the weak happens to be part of the student president's job, hits him once so he knows exactly what he signed up for, and tells him to report to his classroom every single break time. Our guy limps off convinced he has broken something and walks straight into Dowell, who cannot believe the kid is suddenly not dropping out. You must have really liked the arena, he says. You got more balls than I thought. Gilsu, barely upright, strongly disagrees. Then the hallway goes quiet because the sandbag is back and Inhei wants to say hello. He genuinely didn't think Gilsu would ever show his face at school again. So what now, he asks. Is this a revenge thing? Don't let it get to your head. Next time I might just kill you. The training turns out to be Chung beating him up in an empty classroom every break. Don't close your eyes, don't get frightened. Follow the punch with your eyes. And until they're finished, Chung will not let him step into the ring at all. Gilsu's review of this program is one word, ridiculous. Which means nobody sees him for weeks, while Inhei is in the arena taking people apart. Another match gets stopped by the marshals before it can finish, and the crowd is starting to notice that Inhei has been ruthless with everybody since the day he fought Gilsu. It hurt his ego, they say. A headbutt could have changed that outcome. Yeah, he seems weak against headbutts. And don't forget the vomit blasts. So Inhei walks over, grabs the loudest one, and tells him to try it and see if he can handle it. The guy folds in about a second. Then he goes looking for Gilsu and can't find him anywhere. Not at break, not at the arena either. And that second part stops Inhei cold, because he remembers precisely what Chung did to the last student who stopped showing up. That's it, he says. Now I know how to get at all of them. Meanwhile, our guy is out running laps at night, which is when 3 motorcycles come screaming up the road and one of them clips him. The rider climbs off, announces that his favorite bike is wrecked, and hands Gilsu a repair bill he could not pay in his entire life. Bro points out the obvious, which is that the bike drove into him. For that, he gets called a scammer and slapped hard enough to put him on the pavement. The rider's 2 friends calmly swear they watched him ram the bike on purpose. One of them asks if he's made of paper. And down there on the road, bleeding, he notices something strange about himself. He isn't scared, not even slightly. Then he works out why. He has spent weeks getting beaten half to death by an actual monster every single break time. These 3 hit like nothing. So he shoves the rider off him, gets to his feet, and cracks him straight across the face. Why the hell would I hand over my money to you? Fists up, mouth bleeding, screaming that he is not pissing his pants anymore. 3 grown men with bikes, and Gilsu just started it. So the shakedown goes 1 sentence too far, and Gilsu swings first. His punch lands clean. The guy does not even blink. He just leans back out of range and asks if that was seriously supposed to be a punch. And that is the moment it hits our guy. Chung Jang spent weeks teaching him how to take a beating. Nobody ever taught him how to give one. So he keeps throwing them anyway, and the whole crew is in tears watching it. One of them says he's flailing his arms like he's at a swimming pool. That's the level of respect we're working with here. Bro has been training every single break time, and his offense is doggy paddle. Then they stop laughing. 2 of them pin his arms so he can't move. The leader tells him to bite down on his teeth or he's going to lose them, and starts winding up. And then somebody comes down out of the sky. Do-il drops in feet first with his fist already loaded and puts the guy holding Gilsu straight to sleep. Nobody sees where he came from. One of them is on his knees, screaming his friend's name, and his friend is not answering. One of them grabs a length of wood and swings it, which turns out to be the single worst idea available. Do-il takes him off his feet in one shot, and there's blood on the concrete. Another guy is shaking his unconscious buddy, going, "Don't pass out, don't leave me here alone." And Gilsu is just standing there thinking, "Hold on, I thought this guy was completely average." So the ones still conscious go for the classic. "Do you know who we are? We're the top first-year gang at Ginseng Tech. I'm telling our seniors to screw you both up." Then one of them actually looks at the uniforms, and the entire speech dies in his mouth. They're from YMG High. That's it. That's the whole counter-argument. The top first-year gang at Ginseng Tech decides their seniors won't be able to help them either, calls the whole night bad luck, and walks off saying they never would have touched him if they'd known what school he went to. Do-il admits he only turned up once Gilsu started swinging, and he is not gentle about the review. His notes are that you can't handle several people at once yet, and that he'd have taken all of them from the very start. Slip, and bam. Then he hears Chung has been giving Gilsu private lessons and gets genuinely jealous about it. Gilsu asks why grown gang members bolted the second they heard a school name, and Do-il tells him YMG High has a legacy. Every kid in the whole Jungnung area with a decent pair of fists wanted to go there. It was a jungle, and any student who couldn't fight was just walking food. Then Chung took the whole lawless place over and built the arena, and the school got better the day students started fighting under rules. But Do-il says the quiet part too. If the arena ever gets shut down, or if people stop following the rules once Chung is gone, the school goes right back to the hell it was. Because some people want the old days back. And the story cuts straight to those people. Back in the arena, a first year is flat on the mat begging for it to stop, and Yongho is standing over him complaining that this is boring. So he points at a random kid watching from the crowd and tells him he's up next. No reason. He just doesn't like the guy's face. That kid ends up on the canvas trying to tell somebody his jaw is broken. Then In-hae Kang climbs through the ropes and tells Yongho to get out. It's his turn now. He picks a first year he has never spoken to in his life and says he walked past him earlier and just felt like garbage. Isn't that what the arena is for? Settling any beef? Then he twists the knife. Or are you refusing to fight in the arena, like Gilsu did? And a voice cuts across the room asking In-hae what exactly he thinks he's doing. It's Chung. And In-hae looks the man who wrote the rules dead in the face and tells him he isn't breaking a single one of them. So In-hae Kang is up on a rooftop with his crew, and one of them asks if there's any way to get rid of the arena. In-hae says he doesn't need to. The arena only comes for you if somebody has beef with you, so the quiet kids just watch fights and never step in. His plan is to start beef with every single one of them, fight, or end up like Gilsu with nothing protecting you. This school is about to become their playground, and Chung can see it happening. He corners In-hae and tells him to stop pushing his luck. And In-hae just smiles and gives him the sentence there is no answer to. I'm not breaking any rules. Sorry for the ruckus, I'll be more careful next time. Meanwhile, our guy is up on a rooftop of his own getting punched in the face, because at this school, that is what tutoring looks like. Something's different today though. He's still standing there thinking this man is going to kill him, but he isn't as scared as he used to be. Chung clocks it instantly. "Oh," he says, "you got used to my punches." So bro swings back. First punch he has ever thrown at someone who could genuinely end him, and he lets out a full karate movie battle cry while he does it. Chung tells him to shut up. "Stop making weird noises when you attack. It makes you sound like a wimp." Then he hits him way harder than usual, just to underline the note. Down on his knees coughing, Gilsu finally gets an actual technique, the 1-2. Jab light with the left hand on 1, then turn your waist and put your whole body into the right on 2. Master that, Chung tells him, and you can win any fight you're ever in. Then he takes him somewhere called the Arcade Club, which turns out to be one dusty punch machine in a back room. Chung sets his feet, tucks his chin, jabs on 1 and turns on 2, and the thing goes off like a gunshot. Our guy has never seen anything hit that hard in his life. Then comes the homework. Gilsu takes his shot and the machine gives him nothing, not a single point, because it broke years ago and only counts a genuinely brutal hit. Chung points at the score he just put up there and says, "Find a form that works for you, and until you can match that number, I don't want to see your face." Meanwhile, the rooftop plan goes live in the hallway. Some poor kid gets dumped by text between classes, and about 3 seconds later, an upperclassman named Yongho slams straight into him and sends his phone skidding across the floor. "Oh no," Yongho says, "I'm so sorry, I didn't see you there," laughing the entire time. The kid asks if he did that on purpose, and Yongho tells him, "Hey, if you've got a problem with me, challenge me at the arena later." The kid folds on the spot and apologizes for being in the way. "This isn't school violence," Yongho says, "we just bumped into each other." Gilsu saw all of it and says they should report him. The kid says, "Forget it, it'll only cause more trouble." Cut to lunch, and my guy is inhaling rice like he hasn't eaten in a week because he's been on that punch machine every single break. About 100 swings in, and the score has not moved 1 point. Real quick, if you're enjoying this one, drop a like or tell me in the comments how many punches you last, because he isn't going to get through this meal either. Yang-ho walks past his table and empties an entire lunch tray over his head. Soup, rice, all of it. "Ha," he says. "I didn't know you were there, Gilsu. Where have you been lately? I missed you so much, man." And this wasn't random. In-hye told his crew he wants Gilsu back in that ring to make an example of him, and Yang-ho volunteered. Gilsu's hand comes up and locks onto Yang-ho's wrist, and the whole crew thinks it's adorable. "Wow, look who learned to fight back. You're so cute when you get angry." And he's trapped, because Chung told him he is not allowed in that ring until his training is finished, and he is nowhere near finished. So he stands there dripping soup with his fist shaking, thinking, "I have no choice, I've been training hard too." And before he can throw anything, a full lunch tray comes flying across the cafeteria and folds Yang-ho's face in half. Somebody else in that room just decided enough is enough. So that crash in the cafeteria was Do-il, and Yang-ho Park is now wearing an entire lunch tray. Rice in the hair, sauce down the collar, the works. Yang-ho comes up out of his seat screaming that he's going to kill him, and Do-il just spreads his hands. "Sorry, but this doesn't count as school violence. The tray simply slipped." That is their line, word for word. The same excuse In-hye Kong's crew has been hiding behind, and Do-il just served it back to them with lunch on top. Then he drops the smile. "Doesn't matter anyway," he says. "I wanted to fight you. Come to the arena tonight." Gilsu tries to apologize for dragging him into it, and Do-il tells him none of this is for his sake. In-hye Kang's crew has been turning the arena into a hunting ground. They invent beef with kids who can't fight just to call them into the ring, and when a target hesitates, they remind him what happened to Gilsu when he refused. Which raises the obvious question, and Gilsu asks it. "You're strong, so why do you care whether this place exists at all?" Do-il says he went through a rough time too, just like him. And then we see it. A younger, heavier Do-il, shirt yanked up, a bra scribbled on him in marker, a circle of boys laughing and calling him Piggy. They mixed something in a bottle and called it his latte. They held his head back and poured it into his mouth and told him to leave a review on the taste. He says that at the time, he thought he would be better off dead. Then a stranger walks up and pulls them off him. Just a grown man who decided today wasn't the day. Turns out he runs a boxing gym down the road, and he hands this kid a flyer and asks if he wants to try diet boxing. That is the entire origin story. Boxing rebuilt him. Rope work, bag work, hands up, chin down, and then one day he was the one walking at the group that used to hold him down, and here's what he found out. The guys who owned his whole childhood were never actually strong. They were just the only ones swinging. And that is why he protects this place. Not because he likes violence, but because in that ring nobody gets jumped by 6 guys at once. One opponent, one fight, everybody watching. Then he tells Gilsu to sit down and enjoy watching him beat the hell out of Yang-ho Park. What nobody bothers to mention is that Yang-ho has never lost a fight in this arena. It does not slow Do-il down for a second. He is faster than anybody in that room expected. Yang-ho cannot get a hand on him, and the crowd starts asking whether Do-il has been quietly boxing this whole time. Yang-ho thinks he has it solved. Those punches are quick but light, and he's the heavier hitter, so he loads up one huge swing to end it. Do-il isn't there anymore. The counter lands clean, Yang-ho's head snaps back with blood coming off it, and he realizes he got baited into that swing on purpose. Here is the part that flips the whole room. Do-il tells him, "You can't even land a jab on me, so how are those big swings ever getting through? You land the small ones first. That is the only reason the big one ever lands." Then he does it in exactly that order, and Yang-ho hits the canvas. Standing over him, Do-il keeps it short. "You ain't anything. Stop ruining the arena for everybody else and get lost." Yang-ho is down on one knee, spitting blood, breathing like he sprinted there, while the guy who used to be the punching bag isn't even winded. And then Yang-ho starts laughing. He gets up, wipes his mouth, and admits it out loud. "Okay, you're a better boxer than me, I'll give you that." So now he'll start fighting seriously. His foot comes up off the canvas because nobody ever said he had to keep this a boxing match. Try me now. So Yang-ho Park stops boxing. He tells Do-il he's going to start fighting for real, switches his stance, and Do-il reads it instantly. Kicks. He gets his arm up in time and everything, and the kick goes through the arm like it isn't there and folds him in half. Gilsu is screaming his name from the crowd, and Do-il just stops. No more combinations, no more pressure, he's standing there guarding, and Yang-ho leans in with the worst question you can ask a guy who was winning 90 seconds ago. "What's wrong? Are you scared?" Here's his problem, and it's a nasty one. The punches are weak, the kicks could end him, and he can only watch for one of them at a time. So he watches the legs, and the punches he'd been slipping all night start landing clean on his face. Then Yang-ho twists it. "You want me to stop ruining the arena? Screw you. Who do you think you are, telling me what to do, you weakling?" Do-il's legs give out under him. And on the way down, he gets one last thing out, and it is not an apology. The head marshal steps in and calls it before Yang-ho can keep going, which annoys him, because he says he was only just getting started. Then he turns to the crowd grinning and tells them the arena is about to get a lot more exciting, so come by more often. Do-il isn't upset about losing. He's upset about what the loss did. All he managed to do was make the bullies look stronger than they actually are, and he keeps circling back to that kick. It was far harder than it should have been. Something about it was strange. Gilsu walks him home. Do-il offers him a glass of water, and suddenly our guy has somewhere to be. At night, right now, and he's gone before anyone can ask a second question. Do-il just stands in his own doorway wondering where on earth that kid keeps running off to. Meanwhile, In-hae King has taken Yang-ho and his crew into his gang and waved off the thank you gift they brought him. Somebody asks if it's finally time to beat up Gilsu again. In-hae says no. Beating Do-il already did the job. Scare the guy everyone thought was strong, and everyone underneath him scares for free. They own the first years now, exactly as planned, so In-hae moves to the next phase. He strolls into the junkyard where the third years hang out and introduces himself to a guy called Seoku-sun, who laughs in his face because third years do not take meetings with freshmen. So In-hae picks the scab. You were a legend back when my brother was here. Then Chung-jung beat you, and now you hide out back here like a retired old man. Seoku almost puts hands on him, and then In-hae makes the actual offer. You had to fight alone back then. Not anymore. Times have changed. Up on the roof, the marshals are begging Chung-jung to do something because these first years are abusing the rules hard enough to bring the whole arena down with them. Chung refuses to change the rules. He says he could step in and sort it out himself. But would the arena still be the arena after that? And right then his phone rings. It's Gilsu. Chung told him not to call until he hit the full score, and this is where our guy has been vanishing to every single night. A backroom arcade punching machine, the pad sprayed red, the counter maxed out with nowhere left to climb. He's on the floor next to it with his knuckles split open, breathing like he just ran a marathon. And what he says into that phone isn't a brag. Tell me what I have to do next. So this is where our guy vanishes to every night. He runs across the city after dark to a backroom punching machine because Chung-jung gave him one sentence to live by. If you want to actually hurt somebody, get strong enough to score points on that thing. Problem is, he's got no size and no muscle to throw into it, so bro redesigns the punch on the spot. Feet spread wider than Chung stands, a bigger swing to buy the power his body won't give him for free. And the counter climbs from an embarrassing little number to the top of what that machine can even display, the pad smeared red, his hands wrapped in bandages that keep coming loose. He asks Chung what he has to do next. Chung tells him he beat expectations, and our guy says he had to. He's got no time to waste. So Chung starts describing the next stage, warns him it'll be worse than anything he's done, and mid-sentence the kid's legs give out and Chung has to catch him. Fine. Recovery counts as training too. The next evening, the arena is dead. Not even half the usual crowd turns up, and the reason is standing in the ring with his shirt off. Yang-ho Park asking the room if they're scared of him. Nobody answers, because everyone saw what he did to the last guy who tried. Then, a second-year student marshal called Seo-kwan Choi cracks his neck and climbs in. His stated reason for the fight? That dragon tattoo on Yang-ho's shoulder has been bothering him since the first day he saw it, which is nonsense, and that is exactly the point. Yang-ho has started fights over less, and Seo-kwan is done watching him abuse the rules. Before any of that can happen, the doors open, and Seoku-sun walks in with a wall of third years behind him, saying he heard the arena's been fun lately. The head student marshal tells him this is no place for him. Seoku just smiles and says he goes to YMG High, so by the rules he's allowed to fight. And then In-hae King steps out from behind him. The first years and the third years are one gang now, in the same room, on the same night. In-hae looks around at all the empty space and says, since it's quiet, they could have some fun with a few new faces. Meanwhile, Gilsu is standing in an abandoned lot at night, wondering why his training has to happen somewhere this creepy and whether the place is haunted. Chung turns up behind him and tells him he came to exactly the right place. Then comes a history lesson. Every high school in the district used to fight each other for the title of strongest. YMG High won it outright, and the rest scattered back to their own streets. Schools don't brawl anymore, but setting foot on another school's turf still counts as a declaration, and the lot they're standing in belongs to Jinsung Tech. The far gate is open, Chung says, so get out of here on your own. Nothing beats real-world experience. Then he walks off and leaves him standing there, with our guy screaming at his back that this isn't right. The shouting brings company. 5 kids from Jinsung Tech's top first-year gang come around the corner, recognize the wimp from YMG High, and tell him it's real nice to see him again. He came alone. He's outnumbered. And one of them is sliding brass knuckles onto his fist. They tap the metal against his cheek and tell him to speak up before they shatter his jaw, and that's when they notice he's muttering. He's reciting. Fists up to the chin, chin tucked in, feet shoulder-width apart, light on the steps. Jab lightly with the left hand on 1. It lands clean and the guy's head snaps back. On 2, put your weight forward. And standing in the middle of them with blood on his bandages and his guard still up, Gilsu is grinning, because for the first time in his life, the thing he practiced actually works. So Seoku is standing in the middle of the arena holding a student marshal off the ground while the guy begs him not to kill him. And he's loving it. He says he would have started coming here ages ago if he'd known it was this fun, then asks whether student marshals are supposed to be this weak. Goonhang, the head student marshal, tells him that's enough. If you're going to talk trash about us, at least fight someone your own size. And Seoku is thrilled, because the two of them have a score to settle anyway. Then Seoku tells him to look around. They're the only ones left. Everybody who was here cleared out the second he walked in, because once he's in the building, nobody believes the rules exist anymore. And that's when Gaeonheng works out why Inhei Kang brought him along in the first place. Inhei says the quiet part out loud. There's nobody in the arena anymore, so there's no reason to play by its rules, so why not settle this somewhere else? Then Seoku sends Gaeonheng off with a message. Go tell Chungjung I'd like to fight him outside this little playground he built. Across town, Gilsu is still stuck exactly where Chung left him, alone on Jinsong Tech's turf, and the first-year gang that jumped him last time has found him again. Except this round starts with one of their guys hitting the pavement and staying there. They swarm him, and he just takes it. Fists up, chin tucked, exactly the way he was taught 2 days ago. Then he tells them their weak punches don't even hurt anymore and starts putting them down one at a time until the whole crew is on the ground asking each other if this is really the same wimp from last time. All that noise brings out the rest of Jinsong Tech, and it is a wall of them. One of them says he's going to mince our guy up alive. Bro does the math right there. He cannot fight this many people by himself, so he needs an idea in about 4 seconds. So he grabs a parked motorcycle, because if he can't beat them with his hands, he'll use whatever he can get hold of. They're howling at him, wobbling around on this thing, calling him adorable. Then he goes, "Who said I was going to ride it?" and shoves the bike straight into them at full throttle. Running for his life, he keeps thinking how badly he wishes he was in the arena right now. Then it hits him that it doesn't have to be the arena. He ducks into a building, stops halfway up a staircase, and tells them to come on up if they think they can fight him. Because a staircase is narrow, it forces them to come at him one at a time, and he's standing above them, so every punch he throws comes downhill. He just built himself a ring out of a stairwell, and all of a sudden nobody down there is in a hurry to go first. Then he backs into somebody's dinner. There's an upperclassman on the landing furious that a YMG High uniform is ruining his meal, and this one is nothing like the first year's. He puts our guy on the floor in one move, gives his boys 10 minutes to beat him up and drag him over, then changes his mind and makes it 5. Gilsu can't fight through all of them and he knows it, so he doesn't. He goes up and over them and drives his knee straight into the upperclassman's face. The guy's crew is screaming, and he's screaming back that he'll kill every one of them if they lose him, and by then our guy is already out the door and running for the back gate. Then he hears an engine. A second motorcycle slides in front of him with a guy roped to the back of it, dragged along the ground the whole way. The rider is the boss of Jinsang Tech, Hyuk-jin Hwang, and he wants to know if this is the kid who beat up all his babies. He looks Gilsu over, grinning. Then he says, "You're kinda cute, aren't you? I like cute things." So the guy who rolled up on the motorcycle is Hyuk-jin Hwang, the boss of Jinsong Tech, and the scariest thing about him is that his own crew are the ones flinching. They offer to finish our guy off for him. He tells them to stay right where they are. He's my prey. Bro does the math on him. Shorter than him, nowhere near the size of Chung. So he goes with the one thing Chung drilled into him and opens with a left jab. It never lands. Hyuk-jin smiles, tells him that was cute, points out that he swung first, and then answers. A week of training evaporates. And Hyuk-jin will not let him fall. Every time our guy sags, he gets hauled back up by the shirt and told not to faint yet, to struggle, to show how cute he is. Off to the side, the Jinsong guys he beat earlier are quietly working out that they're next. So the kid who spent 3 years as somebody's punching bag looks up at the most dangerous person he has ever met and calls him short pants. Says if we're doing height, you're the cuter one here. Everything goes still. Hyuk-jin got bullied for being small, and cute is the one word you never use. "Welcome to my hell," he says, and locks in a triangle choke. Legs around the neck, both arms pinned, so you can't breathe and you can't move while he hits you. He's already talking about taking this one home to keep playing with. His own crew take that as their cue to run. Nobody in Hyuk-jin's entire school has ever lasted more than a few seconds in that hold. He keeps squeezing and asking if our guy still thinks he's cute, telling him to say it out loud, and our guy, with his vision going dark, is thinking he might actually die on this lot. He knows this hold. The bullies at his old school played the choking game on him. They laughed while his eyes rolled back. They placed bets on how long he would last. So he taught himself to slide a pinky in against the artery in his neck, because as a weak kid that was the only thing he could do to stay alive. That trick is the entire reason he is still awake right now. All of that pain just turned into a weapon. And Gilsu breaks the hold and knocks the boss of Jinsang Tech out cold. The kid who threw up in the ring on his own debut just flattened the guy his whole school is terrified of, using a survival trick his bullies taught him for free. He starts limping for the gate, and Hyuk-jin gets back up and cracks him with a rock. Our guy keeps walking. Hyuk-jin is left standing there, genuinely offended that it isn't working. Then Chung. He says the name Hyuk-jin Hwang out loud and tells him that touching this student counts as a challenge against all of YMG High. Hyuk-jin realizes he stepped off his own turf, works out that Chung arranged this entire night, and announces YMG's time is up. Chung drops him with one punch. "Guys from Jinsong never change," Chung says. "They stay delusional until somebody beats it out of them." Then he turns to the kid he sent in there alone and tells him he's passed. Meet me on the rooftop tomorrow for the final part of the training. Next morning, somebody swings on him in the classroom and he catches it without flinching, then tells the guy to see him at the arena after school. The guy is screaming that he's going to beat the hell out of him, and Gilsu never got to finish that last part of the training. So Gilsu gets to school and finds Young-ho Park standing over Doyle, asking if he really broke that arm or if he's just faking so he doesn't have to fight him again. Doyle won't answer, so Young-ho puts his shoe down on the broken arm and leans. Oops. Didn't mean to step on you. Gilsu asks him if he realizes he's breaking the one rule this whole school runs on, the one where violence only exists inside the ring. Young-ho laughs in his face. What rules? Nobody even goes to the arena anymore. Then he grabs Gilsu by the collar, and that's when it lands. Everything shifted while our guy was off training. The crew starts in on him. Vomit boy, what happened to your arms? Have you been training by yourself, buddy? And then one of them notices the kid has his guard up. The guy who used to just stand there and eat it now has his hands where hands are supposed to be, so Gilsu says it. Meet me at the arena after school. Young-ho thinks this is the funniest thing he's heard all year. So you want to get your butt kicked in front of the entire school, is that it? Sure, sounds fun. He tells Gilsu to look forward to it because the arena is a very different place these days. Meanwhile, a student comes sprinting up to Chung-jung in a full panic. Sioku turned up at the arena with In-hye-kung. That's the third year Chung beat back in the day, walking in arm with the guy trying to burn the place down. They're going to bring the arena down, he says. Do something. And Chung says, huh, interesting. If something like that can bring the arena down, then maybe it shouldn't exist at all. His whole point is that a dirty river has to clean itself. If he walks in and fixes it every time somebody bends a rule, the place stops meaning anything. So the student president is sitting this one out. On the other side of the school, Young-ho tells In-hye that Gilsu challenged him, bandaged up and talking big, and he's going to crush him anyway. In-hye doesn't care about Gilsu at all. The target is Chung-jung, and they're close, so win and don't hand that loser one single second where he looks good. Do-il corners him about it, and he is not gentle. You've watched Young-ho fight. Even I lost to him, so how exactly are you beating him? Gilsu doesn't have an answer, because he challenged the guy in the heat of the moment, and to be there, he's skipping the last part of Chung's training. Then Do-il gives him the actual reason to walk away. Young-ho and his crew are a runaway gang, and the stuff they do outside school isn't schoolyard stuff. Everyone already knows how this ends, so stay out of it. I'll deal with that myself once my arm heals. Gilsu tells him no, you got hurt because you fought for me. Then he says the quiet part. The bullies at his old school did this exact thing to him, and nobody ever came to help. They all just stood there and watched like it was a circus. He doesn't want to be one of those people. And Young-ho started the cafeteria fight, so Gilsu is finishing it. That night, the arena is packed like nobody has ever seen it, because the one thing this school will always show up for is an underdog swinging on a bully. And Young-ho is in the ring asking where the hell that loser went. Probably ran, which suits him fine, because then he gets to catch him somewhere with no marshals watching. Then footsteps. Why would I drop out, Gilsu asks, when school is finally starting to be fun? And the entire arena falls apart laughing because our guy shaved his whole head. Somebody says he looks like he's enlisting. Somebody calls it cringe. He walked into his biggest fight and the crowd's first reaction was a haircut roast. Laugh while you can, he tells them. Young-ho reminds him that Do-il talked exactly like that too, right up until he got beaten into the floor and says he'll see who's getting beaten tonight. The marshal's hand goes up, and Gilsu is standing there with taped fists thinking one thing. I'm not the person I used to be. I'm winning this fight or dying trying. The marshal says ready, and Gilsu doesn't wait around for anything else. He goes straight at Young-ho Park, bandaged fists up, telling himself he wins this one or he dies trying. Young-ho barely moves. Oh, you're attacking first? I like your spirit. That's about the only thing I like. Then Young-ho starts landing, and he's making conversation the whole time. What made you so confident? Did you go hit some sandbags at a boxing gym? Because that won't be enough here, and our guy can feel the gap immediately. This man punches faster and harder than anyone he has ever traded with. Somebody in the crowd is screaming at him to stop getting beaten up and fight back. Another kid says he knew this would happen, and that if it keeps going, the bullies here will never stop. Chung-jung is standing right next to him and tells him to look again, and see which of those two is actually focused on the fight. Young-ho tells him he can really take a beating, that he was born to be a sandbag, and Gilsu answers by lowering his hands. Drops his guard completely. In the middle of a fight, he's losing badly, and says his fight has only just begun. Because days earlier, he had to tell Chung he broke the one rule and challenged somebody before the training was done. Chung didn't get angry. He rewrote the plan into a crash course, and the crash course was sparring the student president himself. Our guy got flattened over and over, and then Chung told him something strange. You want to win? Then lose your guard. So back in the ring, this is what the whole school is looking at. Both arms swinging at nothing, guard gone, a kid who looks like he already gave up. People start asking out loud what the point of training with Chung even was if he was going to fight like that. Young-ho is laughing at him. And then it stops being funny. Young-ho is just hitting him now, over and over. The crowd calls it boring, then ugly, then somebody says that isn't a match at all, it's a one-sided street fight. Yang Ho tells him to give up already and die. But Chung's voice is still running in his head. Don't hold the guard up. Grab the body or the back of the neck and use your arms to pin him down. A moving target is hard to hit. A pinned one isn't. That is when your fight actually begins. So Gilsu closes the distance and clamps onto him. Yang Ho can't find room to swing properly anymore, and in exchange, our guy is eating everything at point-blank range, which Chung warned him about too. Just hold on, he said. You held on through the training, remember? He can't keep his guard up anymore, and it turns out he doesn't need to. He's inside now, digging punches into Yang Ho's ribs because nothing he throws at the head has landed all night. The crowd starts calling it dirty boxing, and it's the first time tonight they've sounded impressed. Then he goes upstairs for the head, and Yang Ho reads it instantly. Body first, face right after, huh? Can you be any more predictable? He sees the punch coming from a mile out and cracks Gilsu across the skull for even trying it. Except, Chung's last lesson was that the moment you step into the arena, you forget everything he taught you, because anything can happen in a fight and nobody sticks to a script. Keep charging. The opening shows up. So that headshot was never the punch, it was a feint, and the real one lands flush. And Gilsu doesn't celebrate it. Face bloodied, one eye closing, he just looks at Yang Ho and asks if he saw that one coming too. Yang Ho comes off the ropes screaming at him to die. So that surprise shot lands clean, and for the first time all match Yang Ho is the one stumbling backwards, spitting blood and calling Gilsu every name he knows. And our guy just looks at him through a swollen eye and says he's only getting started. Nobody in that building saw this coming. Then he does the one thing he has never done in this ring. He attacks first. 1, 2, 1, 2 again. Straight into the body, and suddenly the guy with the dragon tattoo is the one covering up and giving ground. And the whole school flips on a dime. Kids who spent a week using him as a punchline are hanging off the rails yelling "Go Vomit Boy" like it's a title now. Then it stops being a joke and turns into just his name over and over. Yang Ho wipes the blood off his mouth and decides none of that happened. It was luck, a random punch he happened to walk into. The upperclassman watching from the floor read it the other way. An attack you don't see coming breaks a fighter's head before his ribs, and right now the new kid is running this fight. The crowd catches something else too. Yang Ho is off today. Rushed, tight, anxious. Because before the match, one of his people leaned in and reminded him what this is really about. They have been working to bring the arena down, they are close, and he does not get to slip up in front of the whole school. So Yang Ho stops boxing. He plants his feet, tells Gilsu he won't even get the chance to flail his arms anymore, and our guy decides to charge in and finish it while he still has control. That is the single worst option available to him. The kick takes him off his feet. Gilsu says it feels less like a leg and more like getting swung at with a steel bat, and he can't get close enough to throw anything back. Doel warned him about exactly this. Nobody kicks like that for nothing, he said. There's something on those legs. Then Yang Ho tells him he likes the frightened look on his face, says it suits him. Get on the floor and beg for your life. And Gilsu isn't in the ring anymore. He's back with the ones who spent 3 years taking delight in breaking him. He doesn't beg. He turns around and eats the kick with his backside. Then again, and again. He tells Yang Ho to hit him all he wants, because he knows every spot on a body that softens a blow, and the fattiest part he's got is the best armor he can manage right now. The arena is losing it. Somebody is genuinely asking whether the butt block has an official name yet, but look what it's buying him. Yang Ho swings for his head, and Gilsu ducks it clean, because those kicks are getting slower with every single swing. Doel noticed the same thing when he fought him. It was like Yang Ho was rationing the big kicks, saving them, as if all that power cost him something. Gilsu slips a punch through and asks if he saw that one coming, and Yang Ho tells him he really doesn't know how to quit. Then he kicks him off his feet anyway and stands over him saying, "This is what happens when you mess with me, because nobody takes a kick on the ground and keeps fighting." And from down there, mid-gloat, Gilsu cuts him off with one word. "Yang Ho, your kick got slow as hell." He rolls under the next one and the leg swings through empty air. Because on the way past, our guy saw it. A flash of something metal under the leg of those pants. He grabs a fistful of fabric, Yang Ho's face goes white, and Gilsu tells him what the whole school is about to find out. "I got you now." So Gilsu tears the pant leg open, and there it is. A steel shin pad strapped to Yang Ho's leg the entire fight. That's why those kicks landed like a car door, and it's also why his legs got slower with every single swing. Bro was carrying metal the whole time. The whole arena turns on him in about 1 second. Cheater, dirty bastard, he's probably not even strong without those things. The marshals ask if they should stop the fight, and the answer comes back, no, let it run. It'll be over soon anyway. Nobody says who they think is finishing it. Yang Ho can't fight back. He's just standing there flinching, and Gilsu tells him he's so scared he can't even think about swinging. Then he says the quiet part out loud. "I know that look. That's exactly how I used to look when I got bullied." Marshals, stop it. Winner of this fight, Gilsu. He's on his feet screaming that he did it with his own 2 fists, and the room that used to call him Vomit Boy is chanting his name instead. Yang-ho gets pelted with garbage for losing a fight he cheated in. Our guy walks over and tells him to get up. He'd love to return the favor for the dirty tricks, he says, but rules are rules, so next time they settle it fair and square. Then he puts his hand out. The crowd can't believe he's offering a cheater a handshake. Chung-jang just says the kid might exceed his expectations. That's when someone in the back asks out loud if this is what YMG High has become. He grabs a student by the skull and drops him on the floor for not being able to beat up a wimp. You're a disgrace to all the graduates. Somebody finally gets the name out, Seoku's son. He looks straight at Chung-jang and calls him a traitor. He just watched 2 losers fight. He can't stand what this school has turned into, so he's scrapping the arena and taking over YMG High. Chung barely blinks. Fine, he says. I'll show you what the arena is about. Doel fills Gilsu in fast. Before the arena existed, those 2 were fighting each other for the top spot at this school, and if Chung loses tonight, the arena gets abolished, and YMG High goes straight back to what it used to be because Seoku works for a guy called Hanhei Kang. Gilsu asks who that is. Nobody answers him. Seoku fights like a demolition crew. He's enormous, he's somehow just as quick, and the misses hit the ring hard enough that the crowd genuinely thinks he's going to bring the whole thing down. Chung slips every swing and asks him if he wants to work on his aim. One lands, then another. Seoku is laughing in his face about it, telling him his skills have gotten worse and that he should have challenged him years ago. Your past wins don't count for anything now, he says, because you're fighting the new me. The crowd starts asking how Chung ever beat this guy. He explains it himself, out loud, in front of everyone. His body feels different now. Whatever they gave him is working, and Chung will never be stronger than him again. Then he stops talking and goes for the finish. Die, traitor. And Chung tells him he hasn't changed at all. Then he stops being polite. One punch takes Seoku off his feet, and what comes after isn't a fight anymore. It's a man getting dismantled in front of his old school. Spitting blood, Seoku finally gets there. Was he going easy on me? Chung isn't finished. He winds up a fist already slick with blood, eyes lit up, grinning for the first time all night. Whatever Hanhei Kang has been feeding Seoku's son, it is not going to be enough, and Gilsu still hasn't gotten an answer to the only question he asked all night. Who is Hanhei Kang? Chung-jang tells Seoku he's wasting his time, and then he just ends it. One shot into the body, and the biggest guy in that building is flat on his back with his eyes rolled up. The whole school is screaming. Nobody in there knew Chung could do that. And while everyone's still losing their minds, Yang-ho is quietly sliding toward the exit. Remember, Yang-ho, the guy with the steel shin pad who cheated and lost anyway? Chung clocks him without even fully turning around. Where do you think you're going? You cheated, so you pay for it. Get in the ring. Then Chung picks up a steel rod. Rusted, longer than he is tall, the kind of thing you find behind a gym and absolutely never bring into a fight. Yang-ho is on the canvas doing the math in his head out loud. He could actually kill me with that. And Yang-ho breaks completely. He's on the floor begging, saying he never meant to cheat, saying he was bullied when he was little, and he only strapped that metal to his legs so he could survive. I'm a victim too. Please forgive me. Gilsu is standing in that crowd, hearing every word. Chung's answer is 2 words. Get down. Then he tells him to clench his teeth, because otherwise this is going to knock him unconscious, and he takes that rod over his head and swings it with everything he's got. And he stops it. The end of the rod comes to rest against Yang-ho without leaving a scratch on him. He was never going to follow through. He just needed this kid to believe it for 1 full second, and 1 second was plenty because Yang-ho wet himself in front of the entire school. The crowd absolutely loses it. Chung drops the rod, tells him never to mess with the arena again, and says there is no second chance. Then he turns to the whole school and hands them the entire rule book in about 5 sentences. Fight fair. Accept the result. Give everything you have, and let the stronger fighter win. Take a fight outside that ring or break the rules inside it, and he handles you personally for as long as he's here, so stop worrying and enjoy it. Then he points at what happened earlier. A coward too scared to fight knocked out his opponent and walked out a winner. That's what this arena is for. The building starts chanting his name. Next morning, Gilsu goes looking for him and finds him already back on the heavy bag. One night after that war, Chung sees him and goes ice cold. Nothing left to teach you, so if you came for training, leave. Gilsu says he didn't. He came to say thank you, and to ask one thing. Why did you help me at all? And Chung gives him half an answer. He wanted to prove something to someone, and now he's got plenty to tell that person, because Gilsu followed his instructions so well. Then he pats him on the shoulder. You did a great job, Gilsu. And Gilsu has no idea who he's talking about. He bows about as deep as his spine allows, and he never asks, because something about Chung that day felt different. After that speech, the arena goes straight back to what it was. Screaming crowds, controlled violence, and our guy in the middle of it now, winning fights with his own 2 fists. And then, we're somewhere else entirely. A prison. Somebody is sweating his way through a report to a long-haired man in there, calling him brother. You said you'd be back with interesting stories, the man says. How did that go? Well, one of the losers ruined the whole thing, and Seoku's son wasn't even close to Chung-jang. The man starts laughing. So Chung is the big boy at that school now. Then the laughing stops. I know the master isn't around, he says, but that doesn't mean you let a hound sit in the master's seat. Gilsu asked last night who Han Hei Kang was. This is him, the ex-leader of YMG High, running his school from inside a cell. In-hei is still promising his older brother that everything's under control, that he'll take care of it himself. Kang doesn't even let him finish. If the people at that school can't solve this, he says, there are other ways. You don't send a boy to do a man's job. Stop acting like someone you're not. Then he drops the part that should worry everyone. Their father is working on his situation, so he could be walking out of there in a few months. Until then, don't do anything that damages the family name. In-hei says, okay. That is the entire amount he gets to say. Meanwhile, in the part of this school where teenagers get to just be teenagers, Gyeongmin is having the best week of his life. A girl from his cram school asked to hang out on the weekend, and he wants Gilsu and Doil there as backup. Gilsu's excuse is that he already booked a session at the gym. Doil's read on the situation is that Gyeongmin would date a traffic light for all its signs. Our guy nearly comes over the desk for that one, then folds in about 2 seconds and offers to buy them both burgers. Doil holds out for dessert. 2 burgers and a dessert, and Gilsu's weekend is gone. Cut to the cafe, where Gyeongmin is 4 iced coffees deep and visibly shaking. 2 girls walk up. Ji-hai, the cram schoolgirl, and a friend she brought along. Gyeongmin introduces his boys. The friend leans over to Gilsu and says her name is Mi-jung, and bro immediately forgets how sentences work. Ji-hee asks what Gyeongmin is actually like at school, and Do-il, the most honest wingman in human history, tells her. Never pays attention in class, watches girl group fan cams all day, and when he isn't doing that, he's asleep. Gyeongmin chokes on his drink, trying to deny every word of it. Gilsu is drowning at his end of the table until Mi turns and asks if he's always this quiet. Turns out she can't handle loud group conversations either. They're both the listening type, and she's halfway through asking his personality type when Ji-hye announces everyone is going to a singing room. Worst timing in the world. On the walkover, Gyeongmin pulls Do-il aside and accuses him of sabotage, and within seconds the two of them are screaming at each other in the middle of the street about who really makes Ji-hye laugh. Gyeongmin's solution is to demand they settle it in the arena tonight. Over a girl. Quick thing, if you're enjoying this one, drop a comment or hit subscribe, it genuinely helps. Gilsu takes one look at those two and heads inside by himself. Inside, the girls aren't waiting by the door anymore. Some guy has them backed into the lobby telling me not to be such a stiff and inviting them to come hang out with his friends instead. 3 of us, 3 of you, he says, like he's doing everyone a favor with the arithmetic. Gilsu shouts at him to knock it off, and the guy looks him up and down and asks me why she'd waste her afternoon on a wimp like that. Then he name drops the Baeksan group like it's supposed to land, grabs me by the wrist, and asks what exactly anyone here is going to do about it. The answer is nothing, because Mi takes the arm he grabbed her with and folds him into the floor. Ji-hee doesn't even get up. She just tells Gilsu he doesn't need to help, that Mi is fiercer than she looks, and that her older brother taught her how to fight when she was little so she could protect herself. She's gotten so good at it that most guys can't lay a finger on her. Then Ji-hye adds the detail that quietly ruins Gilsu's entire evening. The brother goes to YMG High too. Short name, same as me, something pretty uncommon. Last name Jung Jang. The student president, the man who runs the arena, the man training him, has a little sister, and Gilsu just spent a whole afternoon making small talk with her. She's standing over the Baeksan kid right now, telling him he should have listened when she asked nicely. So the guy Mi just put on the floor did not come alone. His friends pile out of the karaoke room, see him bleeding, and decide the correct fix is 3 grown thugs against 1 high school girl in a hallway. One of them is already grinning and winding up. And Gilsu steps in front of her. The kid who spent 3 years standing there taking it, who needed an entire arena and a student president just to learn how to throw one punch, walks into a 3-on-1 before his brain catches up with his legs. What follows takes about 4 seconds. Our guy cracks the first one across the jaw hard enough to put blood on the tiles, and Mi launches the second one clean off his feet, because Chung-jung taught his little sister to defend herself, and she clearly paid attention. Bro ends up standing over the last one with a fistful of shirt, calling them cowards for ganging up on a girl. Mai tells him boys from YMG High really are different, and he shrugs it off like this is a slow day at the office. The thugs crawl away swearing they'll make him pay. Then the two of them just talk, and it comes out that Chung-jong has been telling his sister about Gilsu this whole time. She thinks he sounds interesting. She asks him to stay in touch and takes his number. Later he's texting her about dried pollock and internally combusting over how cute she is. Back at school, a thug named Yang-ho is on his knees begging In-hei Kang for another chance to join his crew. In-hei's answer is to spit on him, tell him they don't keep bedwears around, and ask why he even bothers showing up to class anymore. Do-il explains why anyone would grovel like that. There's an outfit in the area called Gang Un Inc. that calls itself a company and is actually a criminal gang, connected all the way up into the police and the government. In-hei's father runs it. In-hei was born into the family business. That same night, a different crew is out collecting. A man is face down on the pavement, coughing and begging not to be killed over money he borrowed, and the offer he gets is simple. You can't pay, so from now on, you belong to us. He agrees to anything to make it stop. Then one of them brings up a job. There's a girl who humiliated them and they want her handled. Problem is, saying that out loud means admitting a girl beat them, and their leader stomps him into the concrete for it. You're making the whole Bexon group look bad. So he scrambles and blurts out that she wasn't alone, that she was with boys from YMG High, and that lands completely differently. The beating stops. The leader smiles with a mouthful of teeth and says, YMG High, huh? That sounds fun. Meanwhile, Mi is walking home from a late shift wondering if her brother's back yet, when a sobbing girl grabs onto her and says strange men have been following her and won't stop. Mi says she'll call the police. The girl says they'll be spotted out here, so the two of them duck into an alley to hide. The alley is not empty. Men come out of the dark, and the girl who was crying 10 seconds ago straightens up and says she's not into bulky guys. She prefers bullying pretty girls. Mai wasn't rescuing anyone. She was being delivered. And the one at the front, blonde, tattoo across his face, grinning like something with too many teeth, is Han Jae-hoo, one of the leaders of the Baeksan group. He looks at her, says he heard she's quite the fighter, and asks if she wants to play. So the guy who cornered me outside the singing room finally has a name. Han Jae-hoo, 18, second year at YMG High, one of the leaders of the Baeksan group. He tells her he's heard she's quite the fighter, then asks if she wants to hang out, cutie. Then the flirting stops. This is payback for the fight at the singing room, and he wants her to understand that nobody messes with Baeksan and just walks off afterward. You mess with the wrong people, he tells her. She's already down on the pavement when he says it. Then he puts a stun gun on her and asks how that felt. Shocking, right? And it's about to get more fun. She's flat on the ground telling herself she needs to move, and somehow she does move, and the whole crew just stares. Jae-hoo calls that impressive. Then he tells her it doesn't matter, and that he'll play with her as many times as she wants. She gets out one word: stop. The girl in the pink jacket holds the stun gun on her again and tells her she wouldn't have had to do that twice if she'd behaved the first time. She's done. One of the crew asks if he can keep her. Jae-hoo says he didn't go through all this trouble to get anybody a toy, that he has uses for her, and tells his boys to pack her up and take her back to their place. And then they hear footsteps. Every one of them turns around at once. Here's why. Half an hour ago, Mai texted Gilsu that she was bored and might go sing a few songs. Then a second message came through that was just her hand mashing the same letter over and over, so he came to check on her. One of the crew squints at him and says that's the guy from YMG High. Jae-hoo is completely relaxed about it. We would have invited you over, he says, but I guess you couldn't wait, so our guy tells him he messed with the wrong person and that he's about to beat the hell out of every single one of them. The crew laughs. All of us? Then he's in the middle of them, and about 10 seconds in, he figures out the important thing. These guys are clearly weaker than the ones he trades punches with at school every single day. The only thing making them dangerous is how many of them there are. That's when Jae-hoo steps in with a wooden plank in his hand, because he's been curious how people at YMG High actually fight. He tells Gilsu he's fast. He tells him that kick wasn't bad. Gilsu tells him he isn't good enough to be grading anybody, and that he's only just getting started. Then he swings too hard, loses his footing, and lands face first in the chest of the girl in the pink jacket. He's apologizing so fast, he can't get the words out. She thinks that's adorable and tells him it's turning her on. Jae-hoo, bored of him now, tells her to handle it. Then he spots the stun gun in her hand and works out exactly what they used on me. He's still asking himself how anybody is supposed to defend against that when the whole alley turns. Mi is standing up. That's impossible, one of them says. I was sure I knocked you out. She tells them she found a nifty little item. That's how. The girl in the pink jacket starts screaming because her stun gun is gone, and Jae-hoo turns on her and asks if she can't get anything right. Gilsu asks Mi if she's okay. She says, yeah, his fight earned her the time she needed to recover. He says, good. Then the two of them stand back to back with their fists up, and he says it's time to teach these people a lesson. So the stun gun is gone. The girl fighting next to him got it away from them, which bought Gilsu the few seconds he needed to get his legs back, and Han Jae-hoo is still running his mouth. He gets about 4 words into saying that changes nothing before a fist lands in it. Jae-hoo eats that shot and actually respects it. Guts and tenacity, he calls it, but standing back up was the mistake, because he happens to be a real fighter too. And our guy answers with the plainest thing you will hear all night. He cannot stand people who do bad things. Jae-hoo loves that answer, says beating down guys like him is more fun anyway, and then announces he is done warming up. And something changes. His punches get noticeably heavier out of nowhere, and bro is stuck inside a beating doing math on where a second gas tank came from. He does not get to finish that math. Jae-hoo folds him over an elbow, puts him on the concrete, hauls him up, and does it again, and for a long stretch our guy is just a body absorbing hits and wondering how he ended up across from someone like this. So he quits trying to fight it properly. He grabs Jae-hoo by the arm, refuses to let go, and starts swinging at anything he can reach. Jehu calls him a reckless bastard throwing random punches now. He is right about the punches. He is very wrong about what they are for. Then Gilsu asks him if he came out here to see how they fight at YMG High. Take a good look, he says, and he pours everything he has left into one shot and folds the guy flat onto the pavement. That is what a first year can do. And that is when the girl strolls over with the one who zapped him lying face down behind her. She finished her own fight ages ago. She just stood there watching the rest of his because she figured he could handle his half by himself. Then he explains how he actually won, and it is not a fun explanation. Nobody on earth takes a beating better than him because he's been taking them for years. And right before Jehu charged, he saw him bite down on something. He was not surviving. He was waiting for it to wear off. The guy who sold him out folds instantly and tells them exactly what they walked into. Baeksan Group is an alliance of high schools that appeared in Jeonnam City about half a year ago, absorbing every strong fighter from every school and growing faster than every other crew in the city. And none of tonight was ever about our guy. Jehu was hunting YMG High because the north of the city is the one patch Baeksan does not own, and turning YMG students into players, meaning bodies that fight for Baeksan, would have bought him a seat with their 5 bosses. The informant decides he has shared plenty and tries to wander off. She catches him by the collar wearing a smile Bro has absolutely seen somewhere before and tells him she is not done with him yet, and that is the moment it clicks. Chung is her brother. He apologizes for dragging her into a mess that belongs to his school, and she waves it off. Anything touching YMG High is her business too, because you do not turn your back on family. And as long as Chung Jung is standing in that school, Baeksan cannot get near it. Which is when Baeksan starts cleaning house. Jehu gets beaten in an alley by his own side, by a man in gold chains and leopard print. Tyron Guan, 5th dragon of Baeksan. He tells Jehu he bites off more than he can chew, strips his rank, demotes him to player, and says he will see him at the Coliseum. Meanwhile, across town, a gang called Thunderstorm is running what is basically a job interview for runaway kids. 3 of them show up asking for food and a place to sleep, and the leader asks if they look like a charity. They apologize, swear they'll never come back, and sprint off leaving their own friend behind. The leader is mostly just annoyed. All the decent fighters already signed with the Baeksan group. He's saying out loud that Thunderstorm needs to be more than a pile of runaways when a voice behind him asks if he needs a hand. It's Yongho Park. The guy who walked out on them to go chase a spot in In-hae Kang's crew, standing in their yard like none of that happened. Their answer is short: traitors don't get to apply. And he says he knows. He's not asking to be taken back for free. Give him a task, whatever they need done, and he'll do it. That is a very confident thing to say to people who still hate you, and the leader just looks at him and goes, "Oh yeah?" Next day at school, In-hae's guys corner Yongho with the friendliest offer you've ever heard. It was one slip up. In-hae can be cold, they'll talk him into taking Yongho back. Then comes the actual price. Introduce them to the runaway girls he used to hang around with, because those girls have no home to go back to. He tells them he isn't serving anybody and turns to leave. So, one of them throws a soda can at the back of his head and screams that he's nothing but a loser who pees his pants. Wrong button. Yongho tells them he only put up with weaklings like them to get into In-hae's father's gang, that he's dropping out of the school today, and asks how brave they'll sound, saying that to him off campus. Gilsu is on the other side of that hallway, stiff and sore from training, on his way to beg the clinic for ointment. He hears Yongho is dropping out and goes after him. Is this about what happened at the arena? Because you can prove yourself in the ring again. I'm always ready to fight you. He doesn't get to finish. Yongho grabs him by the collar and cracks him across the face. Are you happy now? He asks. Does justice feel good, since you're the reason I got sent to hell? Then he tells Gilsu to watch where he walks at night, because forget the arena, he'll kill him out on the street. Gilsu stands there and watches him go. None of my business, he tells himself, then quieter. But it bothers me. That night, out by a gas station in Jeonnam, a different crew is complaining that they got nothing this week because Thunderstorm is collecting money in every area. They're bragging about crushing them soon, since Thunderstorm has the numbers but barely anyone who can actually fight. Then a stranger walks up and gives them 2 options. Join Thunderstorm, or leave the area. They recognize him and start howling. Isn't this the guy who ran to In-hae Kang to join his dad's gang? Sent back to the runaways already? Double traitor? What they're laughing at is an errand boy on his one job. The Thunderstorm leader told him to crush Yongin Ma, the rival pushing into his territory. Handle that, and maybe he gets his old spot back. So it's one guy against a whole crew, and they open with a wooden bat straight to his leg. It snaps in half on his shin. He's grinning the entire time. Why do you look so surprised? He asks them. These are bulletproof shins. Then he kicks the front row of them clean off their feet. He isn't even breathing hard. Don't make me work for it, he says. Come at me all at once. So their boss picks up a metal pipe, tells his boys to get him, and the whole crew charges in together while Yongho tells himself the one thing he has left. He can't lose to these guys. He's winning no matter what. And back at Thunderstorm, somebody asks the leader if he's really taking Yongho back. Take that jerk back? Why would I do that? If he wins, Thunderstorm gets to clean up every other runaway gang in the city. If he gets beaten half to death out there, the leader loses nothing at all. That's what you do with traitors. You use them up and you throw them under the bus. So Young-ho just took an entire gang apart by himself. The whole crew is laid out on the pavement, and the one guy still conscious is looking up at him going, "You've become a monster. You weren't this strong before." And Young-ho's answer is straight up villain. Let's not talk about the past. I'm a changed man now. He tells the guy he used to get two options, join up or leave the area, and now he doesn't get a choice at all. Get lost, and don't ever get on my nerves again. Back at YMG, they're already boxing up the stuff he left behind, and the rumor is he's got a rank in the Thunderstorm gang now and might come back for people here he didn't like. The rest of the class is blunter about it. In-hae ditched him, so who'd want to be friends with a guy like that? Gilsu hears all of it. So, our guy takes himself across town to an orphanage, walks straight into a game of red light, green light, and immediately gets accused of moving. He's carrying a letter Young-ho dropped on his way out of school, and the only lead on it is the name of whoever sent it, Haeseon Jong. Haeseon turns out to be a girl who grew up in that orphanage, and she has no address for him either. She mailed it to his school because that was the one place she knew it would reach him. Gilsu came here looking for a forwarding address. What he finds out is that Young-ho has no parents, and this place raised him. Kids from orphanages get treated a certain way. Older boys shoving them into the dirt, telling them to bring money from now on, telling them to go complain to their parents about it, knowing exactly what they're saying. And every time it happened, Young-ho came running. Grabs whatever stick is lying around, screams that nobody messes with his family, and swings at boys twice his size. Haeseon's word for him is hero. That's the actual word she uses. Nobody ever came running for him though. He got flattened for it every time, got told to know his place and not bite off more than he could chew, and there was no one he could go to. By middle school, the bullying had worn him all the way down. That's when he stopped smiling. That's also when he started running with the runaways, and eventually he left the orphanage for good. He came back changed enough that the kids were scared of him at first, then he hugged all of them and got loud about how much he missed them. After that, he visited every month with bags of gifts. Lately, he just stopped coming. Gilsu is standing there realizing she's describing a completely different person from the guy he knows. Then Haeseon starts crying. She says it frightens her sometimes. She's scared that one day Young-ho stops being himself and turns into a horrible person. Meanwhile, the Thunderstorm gang's boss is out back swinging a pipe wrench at one of his own kids for coming up short on his money quota. Then he turns around, perfectly friendly, and tells Young-ho this is exactly why he needs bold ones like him. Clearing out a rival gang, single-handed, bought a lot of goodwill. So Young-ho asks for his old position back, and the boss moves the line on him. Sorry, the verification process got tougher after you betrayed us. Young-ho shouting that wiping out that gang was the deal, that was the entire deal, and the boss doesn't even blink. Young-ho asks what he wants this time. The boss reminds him that he said he was willing to do anything. Then he asks it, "Do you think you could kill someone?" So Young-ho asks what he has to do to get back in, and the Thunderstorm gang boss is sitting in an armchair somebody dragged onto a rooftop like it's a throne. He looks at him and asks it flat, "Do you think you could kill someone?" Young-ho's whole face drops. "You want me to kill somebody?" The entire rooftop bursts out laughing. This moron actually believed it. They're wheezing. Loosen up already. Young-ho starts laughing along like he was in on it the whole time. Then the boss stops smiling and says he wasn't joking. You'll have to do something as risky as killing someone. He flicks a lighter open right under Young-ho's chin. Burn a motorbike. The gang already got paid up front for the job, and paying work is hard to find these days, so get it done and you're back in. Young-ho does the math on the spot. Getting caught means juvenile prison for arson. He takes the job anyway. That night, he ends up standing outside the orphanage he grew up in, calling himself an idiot for even coming. He's already turning to leave when someone says his name behind him. It's Haeseon, asking how he's been and why he never picks up. He says he's doing great, just busy. She tells him he's a terrible liar. They end up at the playground and he's pushing her on the swing like when they were kids. He says he never actually rode one himself, because he was always the one pushing two at a time. She shows him the scar from the day he shoved too hard. Then she says it, "You were a hero to all of us." So she asks him to come home, stay with her and the others like before. He says thanks, Haeseon. But it's too late for that. He might not be back for a while, and she should look after the others for him. She asks him why he's talking like she's never going to see him again. The next night, he's in a parking lot with a can of gasoline, standing over somebody's motorbike. No cameras anywhere. Barely any cars. Nobody comes through at this hour. He tells himself it's a piece of cake, and that he doesn't have to think twice about it. Then he sparks the lighter and holds it there, telling himself this is the only way he survives. And the reason he believes that is sitting about 10 years behind him. He grew up without parents. Nothing other kids got for free ever came free for him. A group of boys had him face down on the concrete for telling on them, laughing that the homeroom teacher was on their side. What makes you think you can fight us? You don't even have parents to back you up. Then men in suits walked in and asked what they thought they were doing. The boys told them to get lost. They got there first. One sentence later, they found out those were Gang Un group men, and every one of them went through the ground apologizing on the way down. Then, one man walked in asking what the commotion was about, and every one of those suits folded in half for him. A kid bleeding on the floor watched that and decided right there. Be the most powerful predator there is, so nobody ever hunts you again. That's who Yang-ho is still chasing. Somebody screams at him to stop. Then a full bucket of water hits him in the face and the flame is gone. Play with fire at night, the voice says, and you'll wet your blanket. Yang-ho spins around, soaked, dead lighter still in his hand, screaming, "How did you know I was here?" It's Gilsu. Standing in a dark parking lot in his school uniform holding an empty bucket, telling the guy that if he wets his pants again, the whole school is going to start calling him a bedwetter for real. Yang-ho is one flick of a lighter away from torching that motorbike when an entire bucket of water lands on his head. Gilsu is standing right behind him holding the empty bucket, telling him he'll wet the bed if he plays with fire at night. Yang-ho wants to know how Gilsu even found him out here. And that answer starts 3 hours earlier, with a girl waiting outside for him, asking a guy she has never spoken to in her life if they could talk for a minute. Her name is Haeseon, and she knows what Yang-ho's face looks like when he's about to do something stupid because he wore it right before he joined the runaway gang. His goodbye sounded like a guy who wasn't coming back. She says she knows she has no right to ask. Then she asks anyway. Do-il works out where the Thunderstorm gang actually lives, which turns out to be the abandoned Thunderstorm building their whole name came from. Gilsu walks up to the roof and finds two of them grilling meat, absolutely delighted that the older guys are out for the night. They tell him they don't take wimps. Then they tell him it's too late anyway. Yang-ho's probably getting himself arrested as they speak. Gilsu says he really wasn't planning on fighting tonight. Then he puts one of them on the floor and asks the other one where Yang-ho is. So back at the bike, Gilsu tells him straight that whatever this job is, it's a crime, and he shouldn't start something he can't carry. Yang-ho tells him to shut up. You don't know me. You don't know one single thing about my life. And Gilsu agrees with him. He doesn't. But somebody at the Jungnung Sarang orphanage does, and she was scared enough to beg a total stranger for help. Yang-ho just stands there. He had no idea that's what Haeseon thought of him. Then, somebody in the dark starts clapping. Jinseop, the guy who handed him the job, has been standing there watching the whole thing, because he never trusted Yang-ho to go through with it for a second, and he's been filming. The video was never proof of the job. It was proof against Yang-ho. Jinseop calls him disposable, tells him the plan was always to use the orphan and throw him under the bus, and puts him on the ground when he swings. Enjoy prison, he says. And that is when Do-il comes flying in out of nowhere with Youngmin behind him. He'd heard somebody told Yang-ho to set something on fire and ran the whole way, found only 2 guys in the gang's building, and was smart enough to wonder where the rest of them went. The rest of them walk in about 30 seconds later. Youngmin makes it very clear he has nothing to do with Yongho Park and is only here for Gilsu, and Do-il announces that he cancelled a date to be here, which means he is currently on full tilt. Then Jinseop starts doing introductions. Huizeng, third best fighter in the gang, goes straight at Youngmin. Min Cheo, second best, has an actual weapon strapped along his forearm. And Kyoshi, the best of the 3, speaks only Japanese, calls Gilsu the tastiest one in the group, and punches clean through his guard. Jinseop asks Gilsu if he's going to go help his friends. Then a kick slams into Jinseop and he barely rocks, because there's a bulletproof vest under that jacket. Nice kick, he says. He'd know. He's the one who taught Youngho how to throw it. It's been a while. Shall we spar? Jinseop wants a sparring match for old time's sake. Youngho tells him he has no business bringing up old times. So Jinseop reminds him exactly who fed him and put a roof over his head back when he was a weakling, and promises to beat him until he remembers who he's messing with. Across the lot, Do-il is losing badly to Min Cheo, the one with the weapon strapped along his forearm. Every block sends a shock up Do-il's arms until they go numb, and you can't tank a guy whose arm is basically a steel bar. Then Do-il spots the flaw. The weapon sits on the forearm, not on the knuckles, so Min Cheo can't throw anything straight. He only swings wide. So Do-il backs himself flat against the fence, kills every wide swing at the source, and tells him a weapon he can't use isn't a weapon. Gyeongmin has the boxer, Huisung, who wants to know who taught him to box and whether all they taught him was how to hold his guard up. Because Huisung's punches go through guards, he's got gear on his fists and he's already proved it once. But Gyeongmin actually saw that last punch land. The gear just makes the fist bigger, so he starts slipping shots like the fists are bigger, and if he can slip them, he can counter them. One counter lands clean. Your boxing's a mess, he says. Let me show you how it's done. Gilsu got the worst draw of the night. Kyoshi's batons attack from angles nobody can read and double as a shield, so there's no opening to hit, and on top of all that, Kyoshi is taunting him in a language he doesn't speak a word of. So Gilsu yells at him to speak the local language, and Kyoshi tells him the truth. He's a foreigner. Jinseop took him in when he had nowhere on earth to go, so Jinseop's enemies are his enemies. Gilsu points out he isn't even in the gang. Kyoshi decides to kill him for that. Kyoshi moves in to finish it, and our guy has nothing. No weapon, no opening, no plan. So he bends down and takes his own sneakers off, one in each hand, and Kyoshi genuinely starts laughing at him. Is that your weapon? Is this a joke? It's not a joke. It's the exact thing Chungjang told him months ago. If you can't punch, bite. And if you don't have a weapon, improvise. Gilsu goes through the batons with a pair of shoes and puts the best fighter in the Thunderstorm gang on the ground. Meanwhile, Jinseop is still working on Young-ho, and not with his fists. He taught him that kick. He handed him those leg guards. Every skill and every piece of gear Young-ho fights with came out of that gang, and Jinseop wants him to say it out loud. You're the wild dog of the Thunderstorm gang. And the worst part is that it's true. Young-ho was a bullied kid who walked past the gang eating together, and his stomach growled so loud they told him to get lost. Jinseop called him back. Come here tomorrow if you've got nowhere to be. You've got the evil eye. I could use you. They fed him, they trained him, they told him his kicks had potential. Jinseop handed him gear and one sentence he never forgot. It isn't the strong one who wins, it's the winner who becomes the strong one. After that, he did whatever they asked, and none of it turned out to be salvation. You betrayed us, Jinseop says, then came crawling back with your tail between your legs because you're a nobody who doesn't belong anywhere. And then Gilsu walks into the middle of it holding Kyoshi's batons, asking why these guys act so tough when none of them can fight without their gear. Young-ho tells him to get lost. This is his fight. He and Jinseop have something to settle, and he doesn't want a school kid standing in it. Gilsu, who is holding 2 stolen batons and can barely stand up straight, does not move an inch. Jinseop finds this hilarious. He genuinely doesn't understand why anybody would go out of their way to protect Young-ho, because that treacherous bastard isn't worth it. And then he explains exactly what he means by that. Once he had the gang behind him, Young-ho went back for the kids who used to beat him. They're on the floor apologizing, begging him not to kill them. He asks them a fair question. He used to say those exact words. Did they ever spare him? One of them keeps talking anyway. Jinseop says there's no point having ears if you never listen. Then he gets rid of them. That's what the Thunderstorm gang did for him. He stopped being the prey and became the predator, and he says it plainly. He got addicted to the strength that came with it. For a while, that was the whole answer to his life. Then Jinseop brought him a business idea. There's a guy they've worked with called the Centurion who runs a voice phishing operation and made a fortune collecting the cash off victims. Young-ho says no chance. The cops nearly grabbed Mincheol and Hwaseung doing pickups at the terminal lockers. Which is why Jinseop's version is worse. They don't do the pickups, they supply the bodies and take a commission. And he's already found his supply, because the director of the Jeonnong Sarong orphanage gambled away the orphanage's own funds and now wants the kids to work off his debt. Those kids are Young-ho's kids. So he walks into the gambling room the director is sitting in, drags him out in front of everybody, and beats him for even thinking about it. Then he gives him one way out. Leave the orphanage and never come back, and the gambling and the plan to sell children stay quiet. Come back once, and Young-ho exposes all of it and kills him himself. Upstairs, the little ones wake Hyeseon up because they hear noises and they're scared. She goes down to check, expecting nothing, and finds the room wrecked and Young-ho standing in the middle of it. The director vanished after that, and Jinseop wanted to know why Young-ho went to the Centurion behind the gang's back, so Young-ho gave him the version that kept the orphanage out of it. He said he'd found a better deal. A wolf doesn't belong in a pack of stray dogs. He took the whole fall so his siblings never got touched by any of it, and Jinseop knew. He found out where Young-ho came from, worked out that he picked the orphans over the gang, and took him back in anyway, just to keep his revenge somewhere he could reach it. So Young-ho tells Gilsu to back off again, and Gilsu tells Jinseop it's 4 against 1 now. Jinseop agrees that it's 4 against 1. He just asks which side the one is on. Then the entire Thunderstorm gang walks in carrying bats, and he says 2 words, get them. So Jinseop Gong didn't bring 4 guys. He brought the entire Thunderstorm gang, and all he has to say is 1 word, boys, and they come pouring into the street. Meanwhile, Young-ho is standing there doing the math out loud. He can't fight them all. He's already wrecked from the last fight. And here's the part nobody expected. The YMG High kids don't leave. Do-il and the rest huddle up and decide they're staying, even after one of them says the quiet bit out loud that this has nothing to do with any of them. They stay anyway. Young-ho doesn't get a second to appreciate that because Jinseop cracks him while he's looking the other way. Pay attention, he says. You and I have unfinished business. And for once, Young-ho agrees with him completely. Let's end this one, right now, permanently. So the street splits into 2 fights at the same time. Grown gang members swinging on high schoolers over here, Young-ho and Jinseop over there. The kids get swarmed instantly. One of them is blocking with everything he's got and openly admitting he can't hold on much longer. Then backup finds them. Somebody tells the YMG crew to shout when they're actually in danger and they'll come running, and the call goes out to cover each other's backs. Nobody on that street is fighting alone anymore, which is right about when Young-ho starts losing his half. Because Jinseop came dressed for this. He's wearing a vest, so every kick Young-ho lands just slaps padding and does nothing. And he's got brass knuckles on, so everything coming back does double. It stops being a fight and turns into a guy punching a wall while the wall punches back. Then, Jinseop breaks his shin pad clean off him, stands over him asking what he's supposed to do now, promises to remind him exactly how things were back when he was a weakling, and calls him a traitor on the way down. And Young-ho believes him. You're nothing without what the gang and I gave you, Jinseop tells him, and Young-ho is on the ground wondering if that's just the truth. No shin pad. No chance. Maybe there never was one. Then he hears the school kids still going, getting flattened, getting back up, yelling at each other to show these guys what YMG High means. And Yang-ho decides he is not going to be the one who quits. So he pulls the other shin pad off and throws the whole set back at Jinseop. The second that gear comes off, Yang-ho gets fast. Punches he'd been eating all fight start missing him by inches. His feet feel lighter, his hands are quicker, and he works it out in real time. He was never slow. He'd been fighting his whole life in ankle weights and nobody told him. So the whole thing flips. Yang-ho is all over him now, and Jinseop cannot process what he's looking at. The vest isn't helping, the knuckles aren't helping, he just keeps repeating that he can't be losing to Yang-ho, not to a weakling like that. And this is where we find out why Jinseop took him in. Not kindness. Somebody asked why he was feeding some random kid, and he explained it flat out. No family, nobody to report him missing, use him up and throw him away once he stops being useful. So when Jinseop screams that he won't lose to a loser, Yang-ho hands him back his own lesson. You don't win because you're strong. You win, and then they say you're strong. You taught me that, remember? And then he kicks him straight through it. So Jinseop Gong is face down in the road, and Yang-ho is standing over him holding his own head, saying it out loud like he needs somebody to confirm it. Did I really win? Meanwhile, the rest of the Thunderstorm gang is having a full crisis about it. They can't run either, because somebody above them ordered this job and they all know exactly who. Then Gilsu and the YMG High kids stroll over and tell them to hurry up and fight if they're going to fight. And that's all it takes. Grown gang members scatter, yelling that they can't take on those monsters. Gilsu walks up to a guy who was his enemy about a week ago and tells him to get off the ground already, he won. Then he adds the one thing Yang-ho actually needed to hear. You fought much better without the shin guards. Next time, we do this fair and square. Yang-ho tries to thank him, and Gilsu points somewhere else. Don't thank me, thank her. Because Haseon is the one who worked out where he'd gone and sent them after him. She comes sprinting up, asking if he has any idea how worried she was, and all he manages is a very shaky, I'm fine. Next day, school. Gilsu is tearing his bag apart because his wallet is gone, debit card and student ID inside it, and he figures he dropped it during everything the other night. Do-il tells him not to stress, it'll turn up. Remember that wallet, nobody in this scene does. Meanwhile, the rumor mill has already buried Yang-ho. Word going round is he's headed for juvenile detention over the gang beating, and two kids are laughing that his life is ruined for good. Then a voice behind them asks, who's ruined now, and tells them he'll settle it in the arena if he hears it again. And the only reason he's in a classroom at all is Haseon. She cried at him about dropping out and getting into crime, said she wanted the old him back, and he went okay just to make it stop. She took that as a promise. A promise is a promise, so here he is, hating every minute. Then a man from the gang crime syndicate finds him. Heard about the Thunderstorm gang, says Yang-ho clearly still has it in him, offers to take him back like it's charity. What's one little mistake, right? Yang-ho says, nice offer, no thanks. So the guy presses the button he thinks always works. You don't even have a place to stay. And we finally learn what that offer really was. Gang-un hands orphan kids a basement dormitory, and the rent is your entire future signed over to the group. For a kid with nowhere else to go, it was the best deal on the table. He wanted to feel proud of belonging to something powerful. Fighting never once gave him that. Then we see the thing he actually wanted the whole time. Haseon chasing a pack of little kids around the house, yelling at them to stop running before they hurt themselves, and Yang-ho stepping in to tell them to listen to her when he isn't around. That's it. That's the thing no gang was ever going to give him. He walks into his own house and finds Gilsu and Do-il sitting in it, because Haseon invited them over to say thank you. Gilsu's glad he came back to school since the two of them still have a big one to settle. Do-il tells him to pick his fights better next time, and Yang-ho snaps that nobody asked for help. Then somebody asks the question that ends this chapter. What happened to the motorcycle? Yang-ho shrugs and says he'll have to pay the owner back somehow. Gilsu asks who that even is, and why anyone would hire people to go after the guy. Nobody knows. Only that he's still in school, and he's well known around here. Cut to a burnt-out wreck of a bike, and the guy standing in front of it asking who tried to torch his precious ride and promising to kill whoever did it. Hwang Hyokjin, boss of Ginseng Tech and a motorcycle enthusiast. Hwang Hyokjin is still standing over the wreck of his bike promising to kill somebody when his guys come running with something he needs to see. And once they lay it all out, the story stops being about a burnt motorcycle and starts being about who paid for it. Because the Thunderstorm gang didn't have a grudge. They were hired to torch that bike, they failed, and the people who hired them beat them into the pavement as punishment. That's how Hyokjin's crew reads it anyway, and the client is a name nobody in this area has ever heard. Baek-san Group. Cruel and ruthless. Then, we cut to Gilsu, whose life is about to get complicated in a completely different way. Mi-jung messages him saying, catching up over text will take forever, so is he free tomorrow? Does he want to go get a meal? And our guy just about levitates, she wants to meet. He spent the entire previous day searching online for the perfect spot, and he lands on an Italian place. Cream pasta, mushroom risotto, both highly recommended. He says it twice like he's reading off notes. Mi looks at the plate and says, oh, I see, thanks. He decides this is going great. So he runs it back. There's a cute little cafe nearby with great reviews, pretty place, really good desserts, take your pick. She says sure, if you want, in the voice of somebody being taken hostage. And Gilsu clocks that she sounds uncomfortable and cannot work out why. Then the bill comes, about $24. And this is where that missing wallet finally bites him, because he has to pay in cash, and he immediately drops the coins all over the counter. Mai puts her card down and says it's on her. He's helped her with so many things. And then she says the thing. I never got to thank you, and that's why I wanted to see you today. Gilsu sits there with a fork in his hand doing the math. She only wanted to thank him. That was the whole reason. And he got carried away. So he just says it out loud. He's never hung out with a girl before. He tried really hard to come up with good date ideas, and then he asked her straight. It sucked, huh? Which is a brave question to ask a girl in a pink cafe you picked yourself. And Me tells him he's got it completely wrong. She doesn't really eat Italian food. She doesn't hang out at cafes. She has never in her life been anywhere that pink, so she just felt awkward the whole time. Gilsu nearly falls off his chair admitting he hated it too. Then she asks if he wants to do something wilder. Wilder turns out to be a theme park. She tells him to hold on tight. The ride launches, and Gilsu is screaming that this is the complete opposite of everything they were doing an hour ago. Me is having the time of her life. Turns out this is what she actually likes. One ride in and our guy is green. Mai cheerfully informs him that everybody gets sick their first time and he'll get used to it, then announces it's time for the next one. Quick thing, if you're enjoying this one, go hit subscribe. It genuinely helps me out. Anyway, she's not finished with him. Pirate ship, roller coaster, drop tower. While he's begging her to stop, two guys across the park are watching him and quietly confirming it. That's Gilsu from YMG High. He doesn't notice. He's too busy having the best day of his life, and by the end of it, Mai is thanking him and saying they should do this more often. So he works up the nerve. Me, if you're free next week. And that's as far as he gets, because a voice behind him goes, there you are, cutie, and holds up a wallet with his school ID in it. Hwang Hyukjin, you went on a date after messing up my lovely ride. That's adorable. It makes me want to kill you right now. So bro finally gets one good day, spends it out with me, and on the way home, a guy steps out of the dark to inform him that he torched a motorcycle. This is Hwang Hyukjin, boss of Jinsung Tech, and that bike was his baby. You went on a date after wrecking my ride, he says. That's adorable. It makes me want to kill you right now. Our guy swears it wasn't him, which happens to be true, and the counteroffer he gets is to find out how many punches it takes to shake the truth loose. So Hyukjin swings, and Gilsu slips it clean. The man actually stops, looks him up and down, and goes, huh, you've been working out. Me walks straight into the middle of it, and one of Hyukjin's guys steps across to block her, because nobody interrupts the boss when he's having fun. He also mentions he doesn't usually hit girls, so why doesn't she just? He never finishes that sentence. She told him twice to move, and the second time she folds him into the pavement. The next one throws a kick instead. She blocks that too, and he decides this is great news because now he won't feel bad about beating up a girl. Gilsu is screaming at them not to touch her. Hyukjin just holds him in place and says they're having fun, let them be. Besides, he isn't done playing with the cutie in front of him. Across town, In-hae Kang gets summoned. Not to a living room, to an office where Hyuk Kang, head of the Gang-un group, asks whether he's been visiting his brother regularly and then asks if he has any news of his own. In-hae doesn't. Both of them already knew that. So his father tells him the story he's been saving. Your brother was your age when he took over that school, and then he came to me and asked for a piece of the family business, having proved himself. I can't expect that from you. The gang has no place for someone who can't conquer his own school. And In-hae smiles and says, don't worry, father, I've got a plan of my own. Back at the fight, Hyukjin keeps reaching for the grab, because the second he gets his hands on you, it's finished, so our guy drops his guard on purpose. Sounds suicidal until you hear his reasoning. A lower guard means he reacts faster the moment those hands come in, and he has fought plenty of grabbers at the arena. It works right up until it doesn't. Hyukjin gets hold of him, lifts him off his feet, and throws him into the water like a sack of laundry. Then he explains that the punches he let through were a gift, and that Gilsu has no idea what he had to do to get this far. He was the smallest kid in his school. They stood over him laughing about whether he was even 5 feet tall. They called him cute, and cute was the excuse they used every single time they beat him. So he learned to wrestle, because it was the one thing that worked on a body that size. He decided the only way to fight monsters was to become one. Which is why he stands over Gilsu now, asking who the cutie is again. Anyone who messes with him gets beaten until they become cute. That's the whole personality. And bro, soaked and half-wrecked on the ground, is still saying the exact same thing he opened with. I get that you're angry about your bike. It really wasn't me. He bought himself a few seconds with that, and he knows it. He gets his back onto a concrete column so the next slam has something to stop it, and then he does the bravest, stupidest thing on the menu. He looks Hwang Hyukjin dead in the face and tells him he hasn't changed one bit. Still just a cutie. And the man completely loses it. He stops thinking, stops looking anywhere else, and pours everything into the kid taunting him, which is exactly what Gilsu wanted, because he only ever needed him facing the wrong way. Behind them, every single one of Hyukjin's guys is already laid out on the tiles. Mai steps out from that pile of unconscious men and tells him she was having such an awesome day until he ruined all of it. Then she cracks him across the skull, and while he's still on the floor asking what just happened, she's already coming down on him. You're not getting away with this. So Mi puts Hyukjin flat on the ground, and while our guy is still checking whether she got hurt, she's already brushing it off. That was a piece of cake, she says. And you know what? We make quite the team. Bro is standing in the water watching a girl fold the boss of Ginseng Tech in about 4 seconds. Then she asks the obvious question. Those guys look like Ginseng Tech, so why did they jump you out of nowhere? And Gilsu, who is soaked, bleeding, and technically being hunted over a motorcycle he never touched, gives the only honest answer available. It's a long story. That's when the voice comes from behind them. Where do you think you're going, cuties? Mai can't process it because she hit him straight in the head and he's standing up like nothing happened. That was nothing, he tells her. Barely felt it. You'll have to do a lot better than that. Our guy shoves her behind him and tells her to stay out of it, which Hyukjin finds hilarious. Come play with me, he says, and don't think being called cute gets you out of anything. And in his own head, Gilsu finally admits it. He thought he'd gotten so much stronger. He still doesn't stand a chance. Mi isn't built to stand there and watch. She tells him to let go and cracks him again, and while he's stumbling, she explains that one was for what he did to her earlier, because she likes to settle her debts early. Hyukjin just laughs. You little cuties, this time I'm finishing you off for good. And then everybody hears an engine. It's a motorcycle. It is specifically his motorcycle, the one that was supposedly burned to scrap, rolling up in one piece with a stranger sitting on it. Who the hell are you? He screams. Why are you riding my bike? The guy tells him to do some fact-checking before he beats someone up so he doesn't get the wrong guy. An hour before any of that, Yang Ho is sitting in a gaming cafe, losing, blaming his teammates, and thinking about ordering food. Then somebody taps his shoulder, looks at his face, and says, Sorry, wrong person. I only came over because of the gym uniform. Somebody is walking that room checking faces for a YMG High student. Yang Ho asks who they're hunting and why, and gets told it's none of his business. YMG loser. Then a second one puts a hand on his shoulder. Big mistake. You people just love tapping my shoulder, don't you? He says, and informs them that he needs answers right now. Which is how he turns up in front of Hyukjin with the actual arsonist in tow. Hyukjin thinks he's being played until the guy opens his own mouth. This is what I was told to do. I'm the one responsible. Gilsu never touched that bike. Gilsu is the reason there's anything left of it to ride. And then comes the part that changes the whole story. Technically, the guy says, it wasn't them who wanted it burned. The order came from the Baeksan group. Meanwhile, our guy is lying in the wreckage of his own evening going, See, I told you it wasn't me. So Hyukjin explains what Baeksan actually wants, which is every single high school in Jungneung. They came at him nice first. Expensive drinks, let's be friends, here's a gift, open it and tell me what you think. Then the other half of the sentence, turn us down and live with the consequences. What they wanted was Ginseng Tech, and he told them no. Ever since, they've hunted anyone wearing a Ginseng Tech uniform, and his school has been in chaos, and he says he'd rather die than work for people like that. Here's the part that should scare everybody. Baeksan already owns every school in the district except Ginseng Tech and YMG High, and the 5 who run it are each the head of their own school. Right now, those 5 are sitting around one table arguing about who gets to crush Ginseng Tech first, with Maria calling dibs on breaking Hyukjin personally. They're told to behave. The boss wants nothing stupid tonight because this meeting is the last piece of the puzzle for the whole district. Then the door opens and somebody walks in smiling and greets all 5 dragons of the Baeksan group. And the man walking in on all 5 dragons is In-hae Kang. The whole table treats it as an honor because he's the son of Gung-un, and they say so out loud. He looks around the place, tells them business must be good in here, and gets told they're hardly thriving. They make just enough to survive. They pour him a drink and tell him to cool down. Somebody at that table gets a little too comfortable with the party and gets shut down because nobody came here to have fun. One of them mutters that the kid is tough and figures he gets that from his father. In-hae puts the glass down and says, let's start now so he doesn't have to wait. So Baeksan lays it out for him. You want to take over YMG High, but you need our help. Is that the gist of it? And In-hae's first complaint is the candy they handed him last time. Candy meaning a pill. It did something, he says, but nowhere near enough to bring Chungjong down. Then a fly gets into the room and he swats it out of the air without even pausing, right as he's saying his research never suggested Chung was all that strong. One of the dragons takes that personally. If you're here begging for help, lay low like the fly you are. It almost turns into a brawl and the table has to shut both of them up. In-hae moves on like nothing happened because he's heard there's a better candy out there, and that's where Baeksan pushes back. We're not your candy shop, they tell him. We didn't build this group to sell drugs. And watch your mouth, because their boss made friends with In-hae's brother inside a juvenile detention center, and that's the only reason this meeting exists. He asks whether that's a challenge to Gang-un. It isn't. It's them saying plainly that nobody at this table is doing him a favor, and that his family name is the only thing buying him the room. Because, here's what Baeksan actually wants out of this. YMG High conquered Jungneung once, and it still has Chungjong, and a name like that is worth taking. They love the idea of helping In-hye take the school and then taking it off him. They just don't trust the man who has to do the actual work. So he gets a price instead of an answer. We're not helping you for free. Do a couple of things for us first, and then we'll consider it. Meanwhile, Gilsu is on the ground counting push-ups into the 80s, and the thing eating him isn't Baeksan. It's that he didn't actually beat Hyakjin. Without Mai and Yangho, he says he'd have lost for sure. 5 dragons are coming for the city, and he's sitting there deciding he's still too weak. Do-il finds him at it, and the whole crew gets the news over lunch. Baeksan has been swallowing schools one after another, and only YMG High and Ginseng Tech are left standing. The ones they already took basically belong to them now. The kids in those schools describe it as a living hell. Nobody at that table is worried about the school itself, because YMG High has its reputation for a reason. Our guy isn't worried about the school either. He's worried about himself, because the second a grappler drags him to the ground, he has absolutely no idea what to do. Turns out, Do-il can't answer that one either. Well-trained grapplers give him trouble too, because none of it looks like striking. Then he remembers somebody who could teach it, and the reaction from the rest of the table is instant. No, you're not talking about him, right? He is talking about him. There's a corner of campus called the YMG High Farm that students won't walk into, and when a stray ball lands in there, the whole game just ends. Gilsu goes in anyway, gets one polite sentence out, and a hand clamps onto him and lifts him off the ground. The grip is so strong he can't do anything but scream. Don't you know the rules? The man asks him. So Do-il finally names the guy who can teach Gilsu how to handle a grappler. Back when Chung Jang took over the school, he picked the 3 best fighters in it and made them student marshals, and one of those 3 is the best wrestler on campus, Seung-gu No, second year. He quit the job for personal reasons, and now he never leaves a shed out behind the school. Bro hears the word shed and sprints off to go challenge him before anyone can grab his sleeve. Small problem. Chung declared that whole farm off limits to every student on campus. Gilsu gets about 1 sentence into introducing himself before Seung-gu grabs him by the shirt with one hand and hauls him off the field like a bag of laundry. First years get 1 pass. Don't come back. And then a small voice comes out of the shed. A kid crawls out from behind a mattress where he'd been hiding through the entire thing, and the guy who just dragged a student across the field goes soft in about half a second. Sorry, did that scare you? Everything's okay now, you can come out. It's his little brother, Juan. Seung-gu brought him tteokbokki baki because it's his favorite, and when the kid asks why he isn't eating any, he says he had way too much at lunch and he's still full. He didn't. Juan says he wants to go to school too so he can get nice food on his birthday, which happens to be tomorrow. Then Juan says he wishes their mom could be there for it, and Seung-gu gives him the answer he has clearly given him 100 times. Mom is busy chasing the bad guys away. She'll come back to them the moment everything is taken care of. It won't be long now. Back at school, our guy is still limping, and his friends find this hysterical. They fill him in too. Seung-gu had friends and people around him all through first year, then something flipped in second year and he moved into that shed, and that's when Chung shut the farm down for everybody. Do-il offers to find a wrestler at his gym instead. Gilsu says no. If he's learning this, he learns it from the best. So he spends days asking everyone who ever knew Seung-gu and gets basically nothing, until somebody mentions seeing him working at a restaurant. Bro goes to eat there and barely recognizes him. At work, Seung-gu is fast, friendly, chatting with every table. The man is actually smiling. Then 3 men in suits at a corner table call the server over. Loan sharks. Their mother ran out on a mountain of debt and left it sitting on a high schooler, and he has been quietly covering the interest every single month since. He tells them he already paid this month. They tell him to loosen up. They're not here for money. They came to say goodbye. Somebody walked up to them and bought his entire debt, and they took the deal, because a kid on a server's wage was never paying it off anyway. And before it closed, the buyers asked them one question. What does he treasure most? So they told them the only thing they knew about him. He looks after his little brother. Seung-gu comes over the table at them. He tells them he warned them never to drag Juan into this. They pin him down, and one of them says it flatly, almost like advice. If I were you, I'd already be running home. So he runs. The shed is empty. The toys are still on the floor where the kid left them. Nobody is supposed to know about this place. That was the entire reason he chose it. Juan isn't there because he went out on his own. He's walking home down an empty street holding folded paper he picked because the colors were pretty. He's planning a surprise party. His brother's birthday is tomorrow. 3 men are standing in the road waiting for him. Hi kid, one of them says. We're friends with your brother. Do you want to come and play with us? Seung-gu is tearing down the street screaming his brother's name, furious at himself because he told that kid never to go outside. Then Juan answers him. He's fine. He's right there, grinning, arms around his neck. And then he explains how he got home safely. Your friends helped me, he says. Standing behind them is the reason why. Do-il Kim of the Baeksan group, roughly the size of a vending machine, and he'd love to have a little chat. Baeksan bought the debt off the collectors, which he says makes them Seung-gu's new masters. Seung-gu tells him to get lost and turns to walk away because Juan is standing right there and a fight means the kid gets hurt. So Do-il blocks him. He calls Juan a little Santa with a cute little present. takes the folded paper out of the kid's hands and grinds it into the pavement under his shoe while Ju-an pulls at his leg trying to get it back. The world isn't all that sweet, kid. That's what happens when your guardian has no power and no money. Seunggu goes at him, and a fist arrives from somewhere else entirely. It's Gilsu. And standing in the middle of all this, our guy finally puts the last few days together. The toys he saw when he shoved that shed door open, the reason nobody is allowed near the farm. Seunggu has been raising a child out there in secret. One day his mother walked out of his life and left a note behind. Dear Seunggu, please take care of him. If you can't, send him to an orphanage. Signed, Mom. And the him in that sentence was a small boy Seunggu had never seen before. He was a kid doing every odd job going just to eat. The orphanage was the sensible answer, and he knew it. Then Ju-an looked up at him and said, Mom told me you're my family. And Seunggu saw his own childhood standing in front of him, so he said it back. I'll be your family from now on. He told Chung what happened, and Chung quietly arranged for the two of them to live in the school farm shed. Back on the street, the crew wants to know who this new kid thinks he is, and Gilsu offers to clear the small ones out of the way for him. Seunggu tells him he doesn't have to do this, just keep Ju-an safe for a while. Then he walks out to take all of them by himself. The first one laughs at him for acting tough in front of his little brother and swings. Se-young-koo catches the hand and just closes his fingers, and the guy's scream goes up an octave. You wouldn't be alive right now if Ju-an wasn't standing here. Next up is a striker with genuinely fast kicks who used to compete in Taekwondo internationally, and he drops Seunggu on the road. Gilsu was already writing him off, except Seunggu went down on purpose. Taekwondo, huh? You're the easiest kind to fight. Then he gets in underneath the guy and folds him into the pavement. Which is when Du-hyuk handles it personally, whining that he only came to say hello today. The size gap is a joke, and Gilsu is already moving to help. He doesn't get there, and he doesn't need to, because Seunggu climbs the big man like a tree and locks both arms around his throat. The biggest man on the street ends up flat on the ground, gasping that he can't breathe. And Seunggu tells him, completely calmly, that he doesn't give in to threats. If you want your money, ask nicely. Which leaves Du-hyuk making a phone call he really doesn't want to make. On the other end is Tyron Guan, fifth dragon of the Baeksan group, and the man who runs YMG High, lounging in a club while his enforcer stammers that Seunggu was way stronger than they thought. In other words, Tyron says, you got beaten up. Then he tells him to report back to the Coliseum, because failing a job gets you punished. Baeksan keeps a cage where people fight for their entertainment, and one of the fighters in it is just about to go down for good. Tyron has already decided who is filling the empty slot. So now we find out who handed Seunggu-no's debt to the Baeksan group, In-hae Kang. His own crew thinks it's a terrible idea, because Seunggu is the strongest second year in the school and he's close with Chongjang, and In-hae says that's exactly what makes it worth doing. The men holding those loans work for Gang-eun, so selling them on costs him nothing. His crew points out that if Chung ever finds out, this gets ugly fast. In-hae thinks ugly sounds fun. Baeksan just put hands on a YMG High student, so Chung has no choice but to answer it, and once those two are busy tearing chunks out of each other, all In-hae has to do is wait and reel the catch in. Next morning, Seunggu tracks Gilsu down to thank him, and gets told he didn't really do much. He wants to return the favor anyway, and our guy does not pretend to think about it for even 1 second. Funny you should say that, he goes. I actually need your help with something. So he turns up at the farm with the whole crew shouting good morning, and then hits him with the ask. Teach me how to fight. I want to learn the way you fight, the grappling you used on those debt collectors. Seunggu looks at them and decides YMG boys never change. One problem. He told them to come in pairs, and they're one short. Then the missing one strolls in complaining about being dragged out on a weekend, and it's In-hae Kang, because he's the guy who shows up in their classroom looking for Gilsu every other day. Somebody asks if those two have a bromance going on. Nobody out there knows what he did last night. Then the lesson lands, and it is not what anybody wanted to hear. Every submission they were dreaming about, all the locks and chokes with the cool names, is free on the internet and they can go practice it alone. Only one thing actually matters, and that's grip strength. Get hold of your opponent and never let go. That's his whole secret weapon. Which is how a fighting lesson turns into rock climbing. Pair up and get up that ledge. In-hae wants to know why he's burning a perfectly good weekend on this and gets reminded that he chose to be here. Then it's climbing and hanging off a rock face while somebody counts the seconds out loud, and falling and going again. When they're finally wrecked, Seunggu tells them their stamina is better than he expected and that they're only getting started. In-hae takes that better than anyone expects. If there's more coming, fine. It just means they come out of this stronger. Then Seunggu asks him the question nobody has asked him yet. Why are you trying this hard? He says he's never seen anybody work like that, and Gilsu tells him he loves YMG High, that this was the first place he ever had friends, and that there's a group circling it now. So why does he want to get stronger? Because he finally has something worth protecting. And Seunggu looks at him a little differently after that. I can see why Chung trained you, he says. You remind me of somebody Chung cares about very much. That evening, Chongjang knocks on a door and apologizes to the woman who opens it for not coming by more often. She tells him it's fine, he can come whenever he has the time, and to go straight upstairs, because he'll be delighted to know you're here. Upstairs, there's a boy in a bed who doesn't move and doesn't answer. Chung talks to him anyway. He tells him about the first year who tried to drop out, and how that kid worked until he was winning at the arena. Then he says the quiet part. The arena we built together is becoming the place we wanted it to be. Whoever this boy is, he helped build it, and he has been lying here the whole time. So Chung gets back from visiting Jaejung, and the friend he had digging for him asks how it went. Same as always. No response to anything. Chung says give him time, he'll have things to say when he's ready. Then the friend tells him he looked into that thing Chung asked about, and the Baeksan group is not a bunch of nobodies. They only formed recently, and they've already got school after school in their pocket. Everybody tied to them has the same two problems, drugs and violence. And the part that stops the conversation cold is what they're openly saying they want. Not a district, not a few schools, the entire city of Jeonnam. Chung has heard enough. It's about time somebody put them in their place. A week later, some guy is walking a girl through the emptiest part of town swearing the club is right up here. She's getting nervous. Then he stops in front of an abandoned church and tells her that's the place. She's about 2 seconds from calling the police when he opens the door, and it really is a club. Packed floor, lights, sound, all of it buried inside a church. She says out loud that half the people in here look about 15, and nobody around her cares even a little. Then the manager comes over. Dave, the guy who runs the Coliseum for a man named Tyron Guan, and he greets her like she's a celebrity. She tells him her dream is to learn to DJ. He tells her there's all the time in the world for that, and offers her a tour instead, because the building has 3 floors underground and the club, in his words, is only the appetizer. Then he opens the main stage and it's a Coliseum. She asks if it's like an MMA stadium, and he laughs at her for asking because they don't do anything that boring here. The announcer backs him up. Tonight's main event is one ex-officer of the Baeksan group against 5 students from YMG High who are in debt. 5-on-1, and the crowd is delighted about it. Dave mentions that matches this big are rare. Then he says he has an interview to get to, decides the fight is probably too violent for a pretty lady to watch, and has one of his people walk her down to the 3rd basement floor. The interview is Sungu, number the YMG marshal whose family is drowning in debt, sitting down across from the Baeksan man who holds it. Sungu tells him he only came because he didn't have a choice. What he keeps to himself is that he wants to find out exactly what these people are planning. They get the small talk out of the way. The man complains that Shungu went rough on his boys. Shungu says he shouldn't have sent rude ones. Everybody agrees to leave the past alone, and then the real reason for the meeting lands. He didn't call him down here to settle a grudge. He wants to give him work. And the work is the thing playing out on the screen in front of them. The Coliseum is a private betting arena, and it's nothing like the MMA she asked about upstairs. Weapons are allowed, illegal moves are allowed, 1 man against 5 is allowed, every fight ends in a mess, and the mess is the entire selling point. Sungu asks why anyone would force people into fights like that. He doesn't get an answer, he gets the scoreboard instead, the pile of money riding on this one match, and the cut a winning fighter walks out with for a single night. Then the question the whole evening was built around. Don't you want to be free of your debt? And then the man says the Coliseum is only the beginning. 3 floors down, the girl is asking why it's so dark, saying the place feels like a den. That's because it's where they keep the most important thing they own. The door opens on a room full of drugs and the people already lost inside them. Welcome to paradise. Sungu doesn't say yes and he doesn't say no. He says he needs to think it over because he can't afford to get hurt when he's got someone at home to look after. The manager calls him Mr. Serious, gives him until the weekend, and then adds the part that isn't a joke. They rarely ask anybody this nicely. The someone at home is Ju An, a little kid whose favorite thing in the world is the weekend, because that's when the dog gets let out of the shed and the 2 of them can run around together. Sungu watches that and knows exactly how ridiculous the offer is. He also knows it would buy Juan a better place to live. And then Gilsu turns up on his day off. Not for anything urgent, he just wants feedback on the training session. Sungu tells him that's an actual addiction, and then coaches him anyway. There are no shortcuts to getting stronger, so keep hanging off those bars. Gilsu notices he sounds exactly like Chung. Then Sungu clocks that Gilsu is free today, decides the lessons have a price now, and hands him the kid. Juan immediately climbs on his back, renames him Gilsu Saurus, and demands laps. Our guy gets ridden into the ground and comes out the other side, genuinely shocked at how hard babysitting is. Then he spots what Sungu left lying around. A business card! Which is how Gilsu and his friends end up standing across the street from an abandoned church, checking the address on that card against the building in front of them. It's tied to the Baeksan group somehow, and there's a line of people waiting to get in who are very obviously not dressed for church. Then a crew of their classmates shows up to roast them for it. They're going clubbing, and apparently everybody but Gilsu already knew this place is a club, one famous for letting minors in. The roast gets specific too. There's a door filter for anyone who isn't good looking enough, and a password because it's private. That argument dies instantly because the doors open and a guy gets dragged out and dumped on the pavement. He's screaming about how they don't know who he is. His own friends walk off and leave him lying there. And when Gilsu gets close, he realizes he knows this guy. He used to go to YMG High. Gilsu asks him what goes on inside that club. The guy laughs at him, calls him the loser from YMG High, and starts on how he'd be swinging right now if he wasn't injured. So Gilsu suggests he start talking before things get ugly, and whatever the guy sees in his face shuts him up completely. Gilsu says a friend of theirs might be in there. Then the guy guesses YMG High before anybody mentions it, and everyone realizes he knows a lot more than he's saying. He offers a trade. He'll tell them everything if they bring him one thing out of that building. His hands are shaking. He can't hold out much longer. So here it is. The Abandoned Church is a club the Baeksan group runs, and underneath the dance floor is a private gambling ring called the Coliseum. They put students in a ring and take bets on them. He tells the group to look at the state of his own face because there's no such thing as rules down there. Nobody in that ring wants to be in it. Baeksan finds a debt or a weak spot and uses it to march people in there, and he's willing to bet the friend they're looking for owes them something too. Gilsu says they have to get in and stop it. The guy tells him it's too late. Nobody leaves once they've set foot inside. Because underneath that church, Sungu is signing. First fighter they've ever landed out of YMG High, and the manager pours a drink to celebrate it. Out on the pavement, the wreck they've been talking to finishes his sentence. The fighting isn't where Baeksan makes its money. Once you sign, they start you on the drugs, and one time is all it takes. That's how you end up owned. So they walk up to the church door, and the bouncer wants to know who these four are, because he's never seen them here before. First time, they tell him, a friend told us about the place. Then he asks for the phrase, 5 dragons before White Hill. Good, he says, head right in. Then the same guy sticks an arm out and stops Gilsu. They run a tight quality control here apparently, and Gilsu does not pass it. Yongmin gets about 3 seconds of laughing about how he told him to style himself up before he gets stopped too. The other two walk in without them. One of them actually asks whether they should go back for Gilsu and Gyeongmin, and gets told those morons would only get in the way. Then the pair who made it inside start arguing about who beat who at the arena, and who only won by cheating, and agree to settle it outside later. So they split up, and Doel decides he can charm his way through this place on his own. He's still carrying what the wreck outside told them. The Coliseum is 2 floors down, and the quickest way in is either the Baeksan manager or a girl who's a regular here. He picks his target and walks straight into her, which puts her drink all over her. She informs him he's got her all wet, then looks him up and down and decides he doesn't look so bad at all. Suddenly they're hanging out. He mentions he heard there's more to this club than the dance floor, and she just says fine, follow me. Out on the street, Gilsu is getting a full makeover. Hair wax, far too much of it, everything shaped up as high as it will physically go. And then, Gyeongmin decides the hair was never the real problem here, the clothes are. Their solution is to find some guy and take his outfit off him by force. Gilsu says he feels kinda bad about that. Gyeongmin's official position is that's what he gets for not handing them over willingly. Round 2 at the door. The bouncer looks Gilsu over, admits he cleans up fine, and waves him through. Gyeongmin is already halfway into saying thank you when he gets told not you, just him, because they lose every client they have. And he's left standing alone on the pavement wondering if he's the weakest link in the group. Inside, someone walks Gilsu down. And down. Further underground than he thought a church could possibly go. Then a door opens, and there it is. A proper octagon, a giant screen hanging over it, and a crowd packed in on every side. Do-il is already down there asking what took him so long, with the 2 ladies who walked him in still standing either side of him. Gilsu looks at that for a second and has to ask why this guy gets all the luck. Then the announcer starts, and the whole room turns. Main event, bets open every round right up until it ends, and the pile riding on this one is already obscene. In the red corner, 5 undefeated members of the Slasher crew, and they walk into that ring carrying weapons. In the blue corner, the first fighter YMG High ever gave them, Sungu No. 5 armed men who have never lost a fight against one guy with nothing. Gilsu is shouting that this is insane, that nobody can fight people who are carrying blades. The announcer just calls Sungu a challenger who dreams of conquering the Coliseum, and then he says it, let the fight begin. And that's where it cuts. Sungu walking into a cage against 5 armed men with a perfect record, a friend in the crowd who can't do a thing about it, and a whole room betting on how fast he goes down. The story keeps going from here. So tell me in the comments what you think happens next. Does he walk out of that ring, or does the Coliseum get exactly what it paid for? And hit subscribe because there is a lot more of this series coming.